It's 6 o'clock. I'm Gail Sanderson. The headlines. Government suffers defeat over plans to cut tax credits. Investigation into video of partying inmates at Hertfordshire Prison. And St Albans MP speaks out over tax on sanitary products.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The government suffered a significant defeat in its plans to cut tax credits. The House of Lords voted for a pause in the changes until an independent study of the impact is carried out and to compensate the millions of people affected. The Chancellor, George Osborne, has said he'll listen to concerns, but Labour's Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, said Mr Osborne had to go further.
Across the parties now, there's a view that George Osborne's got to think again, scrap this proposal and come forward with alternatives that do not basically hit middle and low earners and the poorest in our society.
The Ministry of Justice says it'll push for charges to be brought against inmates caught on camera drinking, smoking and using mobile phones at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon in Hertfordshire. Jessica Cooper reports.
The Ministry of Justice says inmates involved have been stripped of their privileges, with one placed in segregation after the video was posted on a number of newspaper websites. It shows prisoners dancing to loud music, a number of mobile phones inside a cell, along with steroids and screwdrivers. The MOJ says appropriate disciplinary action will be taken if there have been any failures in the supervision of offenders.
2 people are due before St Albans Magistrates Court this morning, charged with slavery offences. 25-year-old Johnny Murphy and 22-year-old Shannon Loveridge from Watford Road in St Albans are both charged with knowingly holding a person in slavery and forcing them to perform forced labour between April 2010 and September last year. Detectives are to continue questioning a 15-year-old boy who was arrested in County Antrim yesterday in connection with the alleged theft of data from the TalkTalk website. He was detained as part of a joint investigation by Northern Ireland Police, Scotland Yard and the National Crime Agency. The government's promising to lobby the European Union for the right to scrap VAT on women's sanitary products. At the moment, they're subject to a 5% levy because the EU counts them in the same bracket as luxury goods. In a Commons debate last night, the Conservative MP for St Albans, Anne Main, said Britain should be able to make its own decisions on tax.
Whilst we may wish to go and ask, please, European Union, please, can you allow us to do what we would like to do, which is free up our women from this taxation that only affects them, a FEMI tax, as I would say. On the other hand, I wouldn't like to have to go and ask. I'd like to be able to have the ability to do it.
People living in a Watford street say the 20-mile-per-hour signs installed by the council are being ignored by motorists. Residents in Croxley View say the signs are pointless because the speed limit is not enforced. In sport, Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho has been charged with misconduct in relation to his language and behaviour towards match officials at half-time at Saturday's Premier League match against West Ham. And the weather, a fine morning with fog patches lifting, heavy rain later this afternoon. Maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius, 63 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Please, dear God, please, let me never use the phrase femitax. I'd never, if you find me, God, using the word femitax in a conversation in any form whatsoever, strike me dead. I mean, of all the words in all the world, you had to come up with femitax. Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. We're down the rabbit hole. So, it turns out that 1 in 50 hot dogs contain human DNA. Human DNA! This coming just hours after I told my youngest son, who dressed up as a vampire, exactly what a vampire is, and he burst into tears and ripped the costume off. It's a good costume, though, isn't it?
It's a really good costume.
It's a good costume. Good costume, but once he found out exactly how bad those guys are, he didn't want no part of it. He didn't want no part of it. I'm not sure. He knew that they drank blood. I think it was the thing about the biting in the neck, you becoming a vampire, and then turning into a bat. Oh, and of course, they can't go out in daylight, otherwise they burn and shrivel. Those things combined really upset a 3-year-old last night. Well, him and his brother shouldn't have left plastic spiders in my bed. They have declared open warfare this Halloween, guys. 03459 455 555. If you had to eat somebody, who would it be?
across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
So yesterday we started with one of the best Beach Boys songs, a song you'll never have heard before. Here's one of the best Monkey songs that you've never heard before.
Music to make lunch too.
That one actually fits. Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Shame on the Irish gentleman that just phoned up and sexually sexually harassed Kelly Betts. We're asking...
It was an obvious call.
We're asking, guys, because there is one in 50 hot dogs. It's a true story, has human DNA in it.
Gosh.
If you had to eat somebody, who would you eat and why? I'm not even going to turn up Kelly's microphone because it's her last week and she'll tell us exactly what he said. Suffice to say... Well, tell us the first bit of the conversation, Kelly.
He said he'd like to eat me.
OK. And she said, I'm going to take over here. Well, there's not much of me. I'm very small. And he said, that's OK. And they said something very, very rude. Very rude indeed. So, guys, that's not what this is. That's not what this is about today. OK, that's not what this is about. So, We have been talking. One of the big stories today, of course, has been the well, it's a controversial story. It's the femitax. That's me being struck down by God. And there it is again. That's just thunder. That's not lightning.
It doesn't seem that cross yet.
Femitax. Femitax.
Oh!
There we go. Now he's furious. Right. So I follow this person at Get in the Sea, okay, on Twitter. It's not safe for work unless you work in a swear factory. In which case,
like what we do.
And what he does is the Get in the Sea guy is very funny. He finds idiots online and says, "Look at this idiot, get in the sea," and it's an accumulative gag, and I find it funny. So he's tweeted one yesterday, "Get in the flipping sea, Bruce," and then he's put up a Twitter exchange between Jon Snow, the Channel 4 newsreader, and a bloke called Bruce Everest, who's a bloke, right?
Called Bruce.
So Jon Snow has tweeted, #just a tampon, support the effort to stop taxing a female necessity, text tampon, da la la la. Bruce has written, why? Many other necessities of life are taxed. And then some guy called Cameron has stepped in and gone, because it's a necessity of life that only women have to pay for, so it's a tax on being a woman. Bruce replies, good. There are plenty of man taxes. Michelle chips in, what male-only taxes are there? Bruce's one-word reply, trousers.
I mean, he's got a point.
What man-only taxes are there? Trousers. If anybody... Actually, we can play that game as well. If anybody... Let me retweet that at Iain Lee if you want to see that. It's... What man? Let's play that game. Are there any... You've got the femitax, and that's beautiful, and I respect
I don't want to call it that.
The more I use it...
Femitax makes it sound like some kind of sporadic, complaint.
No, actually, seriously...
It kind of is.
Seriously, when I was younger, I could have gone one way or the other. They gave me a dose of femitax, and I was absolutely spot on after that. It was great stuff. What man-only taxes are there? Is there a tax on playing golf?
Some women play golf.
But not in the good clubs. Not in the good clubs, they don't. 03459 455 555. We're off and running. Man-only taxes, you can't have trousers. Bruce has already bagged that. And if you had to eat somebody, who would it be?
Sporrans.
Yeah.
I saw a debate online recently as to whether women should wear sporrans.
No,
and apparently if you're in a marching band, it's kind of allowed but still frowned upon. But it looks wrong.
You're not meant to wear it. No, of course it looks like you've got a see-through kilt. Like that one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
03459 455. Can you do this serious story about
yeah, I'm a pro.
All right, okay. Because you've been excited about this one. We're going to do a story about prisons.
I'm going to say the word bong.
And Catherine has been speaking like prison lingo. You've been speaking like Pingo the whole morning. So let's see how we get on with this, shall we, guys? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Ministry of Justice is planning to press charges against inmates who've been caught partying in footage taken on mobile phones smuggled into the Mount prison. And we know how they smuggle those phones in there. In the video, one inmate shows off 4 phones and a stash of steroids as well as a couple of screwdrivers. Catherine, you watched the video this morning.
Yeah,
I heard you squealing. What happens in that video?
Well, the video starts with at least 5 inmates dancing in a prison corridor to quite loud music, so someone would have heard it. Some of them came close to the camera, showing off their moves. There appears to be some sort of dance-off going on.
There is a dance-off going on in the prison.
But it's like the worst dance-off you've ever seen.
It's terrible.
One fella's got no shirt on. He should have a shirt on. No members of staff are in sight. Then the video cuts to show a cell with someone... Don't do that. No.
Sorry.
Then he goes to a cell with someone puffing on a bong and drinking.
I like it when people use a posh voice to speak in drug parlance. Man.
Well, he is. He's having a toke.
And he's having a little toke on a bong bong. Here come the bongs.
In another section, it's not funny actually.
No,
it's very
not funny.
naughty.
It's very serious. Very serious.
It's very naughty. In another section, we're invited to see the merchandise. So you get a shot of shelves full of food and energy drinks.
The merchandise? Who's written this stuff?
No, this is what I'm saying. Let's show them the merchandise.
Oh, okay.
Shelves full of food and energy drinks. probably not a good idea in a confined space, as well as a pot of pills, screwdrivers and 4 mobile phones. Last year we reported that prisoners at the Mount smuggled in 220 phones in 2013. That's more than at Aylesbury, Woodhill and Bedford.
You know, to spot the people who smuggle those phones in, look who's not sitting down.
Oh dear.
What have the prison had to say about this?
They've sent us a statement which says, this is the Ministry of Justice. We're continuing to investigate this video. All of those involved have been stripped of their privileges and one has already been placed into segregation. There's also an ongoing police investigation into this unacceptable incident and we'll work with police and the CPS to push for charges to be brought. We have a zero-tolerance approach to ban substances in our prisons. If there have been any failures in the supervision of offenders, appropriate disciplinary action will be taken. Actually, there's been a local newspaper report involving a soon-to-be former worker at the Mount who said that the way the authorities dealt with this was very heavy-handed. They went in there and basically turned the cell over.
I think it was too heavy-handed.
Yeah, and he said that actually it's made him not want to work there anymore. He's handing in his
Hang
notice.
on a minute. Have you seen the video? Listen, I'm all for prisoners' rights and, rehabilitation, not punishment. But flipping out, they're all there off their mash. There's a fat lad taking his top off, doing like electric boogaloo. They're having like a breakdancing party in the corridor off their mash.
Yeah.
Go in there heavy-handed. I'm straight after this show today. I'm off to my muesli knitting course, and I'm going to be changing into my sandals. But flipping out, go in there heavy-handed.
This guy also says that they went in there and destroyed, some of their possessions. One guy's been in there for a long time, so his possessions mean a lot to him. He thinks that they went in too tough on them.
If I had access to the Facebook page and knew that what I posted on there wouldn't get deleted, I'd post that video up there. Boy, oh boy. But, you just go and find it online. Go and Google it. There's more to say, but we'll say it later on.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 towards London, there's been an accident between junction 9 for Redbourne and 7 for Hemel Hempstead. It has all reopened, but there is a queue back from junction 10 for Luton Airport. On the North Orbital Road at the M25 junction 21A roundabout, it's starting to build up. And in Neaston on the North Circular Road from the M1 at Staples Corner, it's looking very slow around to the Neaston interchange through the roadworks. Also in High Wycombe, expect queues on the A404 Marlow Hill this morning, as just for Marlow Road there's some roadworks going on. There's no reported problems on the trains so far this morning. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, Sammy. Yeah. Honestly, I'm all for rehabilitating prisoners and encouraging them to have activities and get something out of prison. But you watch the video; they're all there smoking bongs, doing topless electric boogaloo, and they're twerking, all this kind of stuff in the corridor. Yeah, go in there and smash their stuff up. Go in there heavy-handed. It's outrageous. Where are we now? 6:17. Flipping heck, it's Tuesday. It's the 27th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The government suffered defeat in the House of Lords over plans to cut tax credits. The Ministry of Justice says it's investigating a video of partying inmates at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon in Hertfordshire and the St Albans, thank you, Gail. St Albans Conservative MP Anne Main calls for an end to the tax on women's sanitary products. She says the femitax is unfair. The femitax is unfair.
Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
History coming up very shortly with the brilliant Dan Hill. He's a local historian.
Sawbridgeworth, amongst other things, has got quite a rich history. As it's further east, there is a lot more influence with regards to things like air raids.
Weekdays from 12.
Great music as well coming up here on BBC Three Counties Radio. Freddie Mercury, The Great Pretender. Go West as well on its way. First though, here's T-Rex.
Nick Coffer.
It's fantastic to be able to get, people like Nathan Bell and Gary Matthew and, experience, but still early on in their careers, giving them the opportunity to come and make music in a lovely environment. Luton Library Theatre.
Could you describe modern Britain?
I don't think you're going to get the
record. Stuart McConey is doing just that in his book.
I don't think you're ever going to get another Beatles who dominate the pop cultures.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
You'll be late. I've been saying that you're never goes. And now it's getting late. It's so strange. Do you remember the first time? I can't remember the worst time. But you know that we've changed so much since then. Oh yeah, we've grown. Now I don't care what you do. No, I don't care if you screw up. Just as long as you say the peace for me. Oh yeah. You wanna go home? Well, at least there's someone better that you can talk to. And you never have to face up to the night on your own. Jesus, it must be great to be straight. Do you remember the first time? I can't remember the worst time. But you know that we've changed so much since then. Oh yeah, we've grown. Now I don't care what you do. No, I don't care if you screw him. Just as long as you say the peace for me. Oh yeah. Ooh. When you go home. Oh yeah, you wanna go home. You wanna go home. Do you remember the first time? I can't remember the worst time. But you know that we've changed so much since then. Oh yeah, we've grown. Now I don't care what you do. No, I don't care if you're screwing. Just as long as you say the peace for me. Oh yeah. Changed so much since then. Oh yeah, we've grown. Now I don't care what you do. No, I don't care if you screw him. Just as long as you say the peace for me. Oh yeah. You wanna go?
Happy National Hashtag Pulp Day, and I couldn't find the hashtag. I couldn't find my hash anywhere, so I had to ask Catherine to give me some of her hash, and she did. I copied and pasted it, and I used that in the tweet. So full credit to Catherine Boyle. It's her hash you're seeing in the tweet where I say Happy Hashtag Pulp Day. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, people living in 1 Watford Street say they can't see the point of 20-mile-per-hour signs. Mike Tull says he and his neighbours see hundreds of drivers speeding down Croxley View and they never get caught. He says the signs are a sham. Well, we'll be talking to him later. In the meantime, here's Rod King from the 20s Plenties campaign. Joins me now. Morning, Rod.
Good morning, Ian.
Signs aren't any good without enforcement, are they?
Well, yes. In fact, they're very good, even if you don't do enforcement. However, I think if we look generally, well, a fifth of the population of the UK actually live in places which have a policy of 20 mile an hour for all residential streets. And I think one of the problems which there is in Croxley View is that these 20 mile an hour zones, which, as far as I can see, have more than just signs, they have speed bumps as well, are very isolated. And what happens is when people get out of that area, they're actually told to go faster. Indeed, for every small isolated 20 mile an hour zone that you have big signs at the end of it saying go fast. And I think that's one of the problems with
No. You don't have big signs saying go fast, Rod. Come on now.
you had big signs saying go up to 30 miles an hour.
Yes,
which
you
for
don't have signs. Come on, let's. I'm not going to allow extravagance, and that's not the word I'm saying. Exaggeration. They're not signs that say go fast now.
Well, I did listen to your last conversation, and that seemed fairly exaggerated at times. But that's your
Which conversation was that, Rod? If you want to pull us up on editorial, which conversation was that?
The last one which you had about inmates in prison. But
that's a true. What do you mean? Wait a minute, Rod. That's a true story. What bit of that was exaggerated?
Sorry?
Which bit of that was exaggerated, Rod?
Oh well, I'm here to talk about.
Well, exactly. So don't listen. You leave the rest of the show to me, all right? I know exactly what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time. You can't come on and say.
Let's have your next question then, please.
Okay, but I just want to clarify, Rod. Well, you've really peed me off that you brought up something that's got nothing to do with you whatsoever. You can't say there are big signs that say go fast now, because that's not true.
No, there are big signs which say go faster. They say
no, they don't say go faster.
20 mile an hour limit.
They don't say go faster. They now say the maximum speed limit is 30 miles per hour. They don't say go faster.
All right then. Okay, next question, please.
Do you know what, Rod? This isn't working for me.
So it's not working for you personally. So that's it, is it? I mean, tell me, do you obey 20 mile an hour limits when you drive?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
So sometimes you ignore 20 mile an hour limits. Is that a good position to have? You actually ignore them?
God. Do you know what, Rod? I don't like your tone, mate. I don't like your tone.
So I'm not necessarily like your tone.
Well, then let's shake hands. Let's shake hands. Thank each other.
Do you want to ask questions about 20 mile an hour limits?
Personally, no.
You don't. So
No.
that's it. So the research done by your researcher yesterday, finding out the position, wanted to know what was happening nationally, wanting to find out from me where they're successful in places throughout the country, right? Where 20
you just came on and you said something that wasn't true, and then you kind of attacked me for what I was doing on my show earlier on.
I didn't attack you. I said that.
Well, you brought it in when it wasn't relevant, and I think we've kind of lost the vibe, if I'm honest.
Well, you came out right from the beginning attacking and saying.
No, you came out right from the beginning and said something.
Do you have any evidence that they don't work?
No. I didn't say that.
Do you know anything about Croxley View?
I didn't.
Do you know that it's a little loop and doesn't go anywhere?
Mike, you came on and said something that wasn't true. I just corrected you, mate. That's all it was. I just corrected you.
I said that there's a big sign. There's a 2-foot wide sign which actually says, right, it's no longer 20. You can go faster.
Congratulations. That's not. It doesn't say that, and it's not what you said either.
So you think that a sign which actually has
this is awkward.
30
Yes.
mile an hour, right, is one which doesn't say go faster.
No, it doesn't say go faster. It says the speed limit here is now 30 miles per hour.
Well, you're being very pedantic about something.
No, I'm being accurate. There's nothing wrong with being a pedant.
Well, it depends what your objective is. You've taken this discussion down a completely unproductive alley with with you seizing on that particular thing.
Okay.
So,
all right, Mike. All right, Mike.
That's your call.
All right.
Sorry it's gone wrong, but
these things happen. We can't all be good every day.
Next time will be useful.
A little what? Sorry.
A little bit less aggression would be useful.
No aggression, mate. Just accuracy and a little bit less criticism of me doing my job. I'm not criticising your job. I'd appreciate if you kept your hands off mine as well. I think we should just leave it, Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Ta-ta.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are queues on the M1 towards London from junction 10 for Luton Airport towards junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. That's because of an accident earlier between a car and a lorry, but all the lanes are back open again. There's also roadworks on the M1 between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable, so that could cause some delays. And on the A507 and Ampthill bypass in Ampton in both directions, that's being resurfaced, so it's closed between Station Road and Froghall Road. On the A41 High Street in Waddesdon, there's temporary traffic lights at the junction for Baker Street, so that could cause some delays when it starts to get busier later on. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30 with the headlines and sport. I'm Gail Sanderson. The government suffered a significant defeat in its plans to cut tax credits. The House of Lords voted for a pause in the changes until an independent study of the impact is carried out and to compensate the millions of people affected. The Ministry of Justice says it'll push for changes to be brought against inmates caught on camera drinking, smoking and using mobile phones at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon in Hertfordshire. Detectives are to continue questioning a 15-year-old boy who was arrested in County Antrim yesterday in connection with the alleged theft of data from the TalkTalk website. And people living in a Watford street say the 20-mile-an-hour signs installed by the council are being ignored by motorists. Residents in Croxley View say the signs are pointless because the speed limit is not enforced. The weather, a fine morning with fog patches lifting, heavy rain later this afternoon. Maximum temperature 17 Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We start with football. Jose Mourinho has been charged with misconduct by the FA over his language and behaviour in Chelsea's defeat by West Ham. It's understood it doesn't trigger his suspended stadium ban as the nature of the offences differ. Both clubs have been charged for failing to control their players. Luton Town have drawn Crawley Town in the first round proper of the FA Cup. Stevenage will play Gillingham and Wycombe Wanderers are against FC Halifax or Guiseley. Chesham United have drawn Bristol Rovers. St Albans City at play Grimsby Town. Barnet have drawn Blackpool and Boreham Wood will play Northwich Victoria or Chorley. The ties will be played early next month. In cricket, England captain Bedfordshire's Alistair Cook blamed a first innings batting collapse for his side's defeat by Pakistan in the second test in Dubai. The tourists came within 6.3 overs of securing a draw, but Cook pointed to England's loss of 7 wickets for 36 runs on Saturday. World Cup winning captain Franz Beckenbauer says he accepts responsibility for the German FA's mistake in making a payment of €6.7 million to FIFA. However, he's denied the money was used to buy votes to secure the 2006 World Cup. Meanwhile, UEFA General Secretary Gianni Infantino and Asian Football Confederation President Sheikh Salman bin Ebrahim Al Khalifa have confirmed their intention to stand for the FIFA presidency. The deadline for applications is midnight tonight. In athletics, Great Britain have won their 7th gold medal of the IPC Athletics World Championships in Doha. Paul Blake successfully defended his T36 800 metres title. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. There's more at 7.
It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
Took too much. I'm crying here. What have you done? I thought it would be fun. I can't stay on your life support. There's a shortage in the switch. I can't stay on your morphine 'cause it's making me itch. I said I tried to call the nurse again, but she's been a little bitch. I think I'll get out of here where I can run.
Well, that escalated, didn't it? Really,
The signs were kind of there, though, weren't they?
Well, no, the signs are not there. That's the problem. There are not massive signs that say go faster now. That's the problem.
Maybe they should be.
And do you know what? When he if you've ever been confronted with your own reality, 03459 455 555. Let me explain what I mean. There was a moment in that interview we could have clawed it back, okay? But when he asked me the question, well, do you want to ask me about 20-mile-per-hour speed signs or not? Suddenly, the whole of my future, my past, my present was laid out in a linear fashion. It was like I was time travelling. I could see everything. I could see me. I was a dot, and yet I was the entire cosmos all in once. I was completely alone, but I was joined to every being in the universe all at once. And I realised that, no, I did not want to ask questions about 20-mile-per-hour speed zones. I did not want to ask those questions. He opened a door for me, and for that, Rob, Mike, I am completely grateful.
Rod.
I stepped through that door. I came out the other side pure. I feel like I've been baptised. The Buddhists have their own form of baptism and being born again. Baptism is being born again and washed away of your sins. The Buddhists have their own one. They have a hole in the ground. You climb in this hole in the ground. You walk through a darkened tunnel, completely dark. You come back out of the hole. It's like passing through your mother's legs. You are reborn. You are born again. And that's what happened to me in the last 10 minutes of me sat here. I feel powerful. I feel weak. I feel I could do anything. I feel I am nothing.
Well, either that or, psychologically, if someone says, do you want to do this or not, your tendency is to say not, isn't it?
All right, advertising executive.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, and all the time, the moment when it started to kick off, do you know what was going through my head? This tune. What happened? I'll tell you exactly what happened, right? So he said, I'm going to recreate what happened in my mind. I'm going to kind of expand it, because this happened within milliseconds, it had gone. So he said to me, do you want to ask questions about 20 miles per hour speed zones? No, I don't want to ask questions about 20 mile per hour zones.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, human DNA in hot dogs, and it is the season to eat hot dogs. Tra la 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 la. Bleh.
I had 4 jumbos last week.
We're talking about eating hot dogs, though, Catherine. What you get up to in your own time is nothing to do with the team here at BBC Three Counties Radio. Morning. We had
beds, hards and bugs.
Beds, hards and bugs. What happened to those things that we got done?
They're there.
But where?
I'll show you.
Can I access them now?
Yeah.
Are they? Have I got them here?
I emailed them to you.
Yeah, I know, but I've not put them in the system.
Well then.
So they're not in the system.
Well, I can arrange.
Put them in the system.
They are in the system somewhere, but I'll dig them out.
Dig them out and get them up during the show because we have a lot of fun with those.
If you put a voiceover in, I think that's what they're under.
I don't know I don't even know what that means.
Oh.
We'll do it during the record because I don't know what you mean by that.
Oh.
So we're going to have hot dogs on Wednesday, fireworks and hot dogs in the back garden. I've spent £56 on fireworks. That's going to last 3 minutes. A shocking 1 in every 50 hot dogs contains human DNA, according to research.
I don't think that is shocking.
I'm shocked that it's so few. Traces, don't the Chinese do that with their prisoners? They put them in hot dogs. No, they shave their hair off and make wigs. Traces were also found in 2/3 of vegetarian samples. In your face, vegan who called me yesterday. With 10% of the veggie products appearing to contain meat. The human's DNA could have found its way into the food in the form of saliva or other bodily fluids.
Wow.
During the mashing and processing on the production line. What the hell is... How erotic is the mashing and the processing? I suppose it's very phallic, isn't it? The research of major brands claimed... Oh, here's a word we don't use very often. Frankfurter. We don't say Frankfurter anymore. Why don't we say Frankfurter? Claimed 14% of the Frankfurters contained problematic ingredients. The report said, sausages are the world's original mystery meat, and hot dogs have always provoked ingredient anxiety.
Right. What is this conspiracy? Yesterday it was everything was going to kill us, bacon and sausages. Now they're saying hot dogs got bits of people in.
Bits of people.
Bits of people.
Bits of people. All the people, the bits of people.
But then they do other things where, there's like flies and mouse droppings and stuff in your food,
I don't have a problem with there being human. Here's the thing, right? You mentioned eating humans to people. Oh, it's disgusting. If you had to, you would. If you had to eat another human being, who would you eat and why? 03459 455 555.
I'd have Adele.
Oh, yeah. Go
because,
on.
Happy Meat. You know, the happy chickens and everything. It's all a big thing.
A delicious meal.
Exactly.
From the Adelicatessen.
I retweeted something the other day and it was Adele laughing. Now, there is not a happier piece of meat on the planet at the moment than that one that was laughing there, Adele. So if she wouldn't mind, I'll have a little nibble on that.
John, who is a trained butcher, says, hi Ian, I'm a trained butcher, and as a trained butcher, it's important to know that a bit of fat gives the meat flavour. I expect a lot of your listeners, like Dennis, would love to tuck into some skinny bird like Kylie Minogue, but trust me, she'd be very scrawny. A top side of Ainsley Harriet would work beautifully as a Sunday roast as long as you basted him properly.
Gosh, you've thought about that a lot.
Yeah, that's just consider if you had to eat a human being, and let's tread delicately for goodness sakes. Someone you never know who's listening, and someone may have actually had a relative who was recently eaten. 03459
Beyonce.
455.
Oh, a bit of thigh.
Firm.
Bit of Beyonce thigh. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number if you wish to give us a call. You can text in your answers as well, 81333, start your text 3CR. We'll pick the best one and we will approach the celebrity involved and we will see if they are up for it. We can't say anything fairer than that, can we? Right, let's get a little bit of the trav.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 into London, it's stop-start because of an accident earlier between junction 9 for Redbourne and 7 Pamwell Hempstead. That's causing a delay back from junction 11 for Dunstable now. And on the M25, it's busy anti-clockwise between junction 21 for the M1 and 19 for Watford. In Neasden on the North Circular Road, it's very slow from the M1 at Staples Corner through to the Neasden interchange through the roadworks. And a bit further afield on the M1 southbound, there are delays between junction 17 for the M45 at Dunchurch and 16 for Daventry in the roadworks, and the lane's closed there because the vehicles broken down. On the train departure boards, the 6:53 train from Milton Keynes Central to London Euston has been delayed by 30 minutes. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Sammy. 6:45, these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says he will consider what to do next after the House of Lords voted to delay the introduction of cuts to tax credits. The Ministry of Justice says it's investigating a video of partying inmates at the Mount Prison at Bovingdon in Hertfordshire. And the St Albans Conservative MP, Anne Main, calls for an end to the tax on women's sanitary products. She says the femitax is unfair. Here's the weather.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. We've got a lot of mist and fog around this morning, but that should burn off fairly early to give us some breaks in the cloud, but still a fair amount of clouds sticking. It does clear later on, though, to give us quite a decent amount of sunshine for a spell before clouding over ahead of the rain we're expecting later on in the day. Temperature-wise, they're very mild today with highs of 17 degrees Celsius, possibly even nudging above that. Tonight, that rain continues its journey eastwards with lows of 11 degrees, so a wet start to tomorrow as it clears through the day. We should get some sunny spells by the end of the afternoon with highs of 14 degrees Celsius. Now on Thursday it starts off dry, but we have another band of rain. It's fairly narrow and fast moving, but still not a dry day totally. And then on Friday a pulse of rain earlier in the day, but things look like they'll settle down over the weekend. That's your latest forecast.
When you need local news.
The headlines: serious injuries for Bedford cyclist and heritage windfall for Luton Museum.
When you need local travel.
M40 southbound, 1 lane blocks, and it's queuing. 2 lorries and a caravan.
When you need local weather.
Lots of sunny spells around, more sunshine developing, of course, plenty of blue skies as we head into the afternoon.
BBC Three Counties Radio is here.
Bedfordshire Police are defending plans to halve the number of community support officers in the county.
With local, up-to-date news and travel bulletins throughout the day.
Get your travel after Paul Young. Wherever I lay my hat, that's my home.
You'll always be up to date.
That's the forecast.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Glenn Campbell singing Harry Nilsson. Oh, I don't mind if I do. This is amazing.
I spend the night in a chair, thinking she'll be there, but she never comes. And then I wake up and wipe the sleep from my eyes, and I rise to face another day without her. It's just no good anymore when you walk through the door of an empty room, and then you go inside and set a table for one. It's no fun when you spend a day without her. We burst the pretty balloon, it took us to the moon, such a beautiful thing, but it's ended now, and it sounds like a lie if I say I'd rather die than live without her. I spend the night in a chair, thinking she'll be there, but she never comes. And then I wake up and wipe the sleep from my eyes, and I rise to face another day without her.
Just been sent an horrific picture. I mean, this is awful. This is the problem with the internet, is it just there's no censorship, and it's a picture of it's Justin Dealey topless. What the hell is going on, you pervert?
What do you mean, pervert?
Oh.
Listen, it's okay for you. It's okay for you working in your air-conditioned studio. Oh, I'm the boss. Look at me. My name's above the door. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I need to feel refreshed when I'm doing a radio show. In the office today, it's about 100 degrees, mate.
Yeah, it is. It is about 100 degrees. But why have you sent me a picture of your nipples?
Because I cannot work fully clothed in the office this morning. It's too hot. I've had to run about on the streets for 20 minutes. I've come back. I'm boiling hot.
It is insane because it's too. It was too cold for you. I like it cold, so I think. But everyone else found it too cold. And then we come in today, and it's like a sauna in there. There's sweat
horrible.
dripping off the wall. I know it's sweat because I licked it.
I'm just letting you know what it's like for people like me. Okay, that's all I'm doing.
Well, Dealey is a geezer. He's a geely, and
Back from the dead and taking it to the streets of beds, hards and bugs. Justin Dealey.
Justin, it's great to have you on board.
Thank you, mate.
I've been sitting on those for weeks. I forgot I had those. I got a load of those.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, your absolute pleasure. The human DNA is found in 1 in 50 hot dogs, Justin. This is outrageous stroke exciting. It's suddenly hot dogs become even more fun. Are you going to get the one that's got Nana in it?
Oh, God.
Made myself laugh there. This will be the last show I ever do on Bedsides and Bugs. So, dear listener, I say now, thank you very much for listening, and I wish the next person who takes over from me tomorrow the very best of luck.
David Prever will be really happy to hear that.
Yes, he will be. Dealey, you've taken this to the streets. If you had to eat someone, who would it be and why?
Yeah, it's a tough question to take to the streets first thing, but people, I think that the best people in this package coming up here are the people who really thought about their answer, which is what I was looking for. Here's what happened.
Taking it to the streets with J-Dog. Hashtag celebrity food.
Hi, Gerger. Let's get the Hungarian perspective. Do you like hot dogs?
Yes, I do.
Great Hungarian perspective part 1. Okay, Hungarian perspective part 2. If you had to eat any celebrity, who would it be?
I believe maybe I would try The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, and why would you choose him?
Because he's pretty large, so it would be a feast.
I really don't know how to answer that question.
You can answer it, come on.
Janet Jackson?
Janet Jackson? Why would you want to eat Janet Jackson? She's a misunderstood genius.
Somebody who tasted like an hot dog.
How are you, boss? Okay, 2% of hot dogs have got human DNA in them. It's disgusting. So we're asking a question this morning. If you had to eat a celebrity to stay alive, anybody famous, think about big celebrities, who would you want to eat?
Anton Jack.
Can I ask why?
Don't like him.
So you just want to eat them to get them off the planet, yeah?
Yeah.
Dealey, a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. We weren't sure if it was going to work. It worked, and it worked beautifully. I don't know what we got for the next set. We'll come up with something. Okay, speak to you in a bit. Cheers,
touch base soon. Cheers, mate.
Touch base. Ben's on the line. Morning, Ben.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
I'm still shaking from what happened earlier on, but apart from that, I'm groovy, man. I'm groovy. What have you got for us?
Yeah, well, it was a bit weird, but I think it's kind of symptomatic of the show you have at the moment, to be honest.
Wait, in what way?
Well, I was listening to a show on BBC Three Counties on Saturdays around noontime.
Oh, yeah. That's me and Catherine. That's down the rabbit hole. We do that.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to promote it or not.
We're allowed to apparently, there is some debate over it.
We're not, apparently, but you can.
There is some debate over it, yes.
Well, you've both made quite glaring errors in there. And I think if you keep making mistakes, it's going to...
What's the mistake we've made, Ben? What have we done?
Well, who should I start with first?
Start with Catherine. She needs to be brought down a peg or two.
Yeah.
She's off for the rest of the week, so...
Well,
I can cry.
She was talking about how Hugh Jackman played Chopper in the film Chopper.
She did say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
Do you know, it's not Hugh Jackman. It's Eric
Estrada. Eric Banner.
Oh, yeah.
Who also played the Hulk, Dr. Bruce Banner. That was weird.
Well, you know, Ben, you've made a bit of an error there because you're supposed to correct me like on the day, not 2 weeks later.
Don't ever go at him. He's being a pendant. We support pendants here.
I was listening afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm sort of trying to listen to it a few times, but then Iain also said something wrong as well.
There we go. Go on. And I'm man enough to take this, and I will take this in the way spirit it's intended.
Well, let's see if you will.
I'm going to thank him in advance. Thank you, Ben.
Go on, let's see if you will.
Let's see if you can remember. Someone said that. What's his name? Chris Akabusi said Awuga first.
Yep.
He was the first person on telly.
Yeah.
So you corrected him?
Fashanu, the Fash.
It wasn't the Fash though. He didn't say it first.
I didn't say he said it first. I said it was the Fash's catchphrase. Oh, Ben, I accept your apology.
I'm sorry.
You're very welcome. Thanks for listening, Ben, and thanks for listening so eagerly. Bring your notebook and pad and make more notes, and we can only improve.
I'll try my best.
Thank you, Ben.
Oh, Ben.
People say I'm crazy, doing what I'm doing. Well, they give me all kinds of warnings to save me from ruin.
I say that I'm okay, well, they look at me kind of strange. Surely you're not happy now, you no longer play the game. People say I'm lazy, dreaming my life away. Well, they give me all kinds of advice designed to enlighten me. When I tell them that I'm doing fine, watching shadows on the wall. Don't you miss the big time, boy, you're no longer on the ball. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I really love to watch them roll. No longer riding on the merry-go-round. I just had to let it go. People asking questions, lost in confusion. Well, I tell them there's no problem, only solutions. Well, they shake their heads and they look at me as if I've lost my mind. I told them there's no hurry, I'm just sitting here doing time. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I really love to watch them roll. No longer riding on the merry-go-round. I just had to let it go. I just had to let it go. I just had to let it go.
It's just nice. That's a nice song.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's stop-start on the M1 towards London between junction 12 for Flitwick now to junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead after an accident between junction 9 for Redbourne and Hemel Hempstead. And on the M25 anti-clockwise, it's very busy from junction 21 for the M1 to 19 for Watford. It's also starting to build up between junction 16 for the M40 anti-clockwise towards junction 15 for the M4 at the Thorney interchange as well. And in Presswood on Wickham Road, there's roadworks at the junction for Hildreth Road, so expect queues there later. It's not looking too bad at the moment. And on the train departure boards, there are no reported delays at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Much appreciated. Oh, flipping it. That's loud, isn't it? So if you had to eat somebody, who would it be and why? Oh, and there'll be other bits and pieces. We'll make it up as we go along. You know how we do this nonsense.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Gail Sanderson. The headlines. The Chancellor says he'll make changes after defeat over tax credit cuts. Investigation into video of partying inmates at Hertfordshire Prison. And St Albans MP speaks out over tax on sanitary products.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The Chancellor, George Osborne, has agreed to make changes to his controversial plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a heavy defeat in the House of Lords last night. Peers voted to delay the cuts and force the Treasury to provide 3 years of help to those low-paid workers affected by the policy. Mr Osborne said he'd still be able to make substantial savings to the welfare bill.
I said I would listen, and that's precisely what I intend to do. I believe we can achieve the same goal of reforming tax credits, saving the money we need to save to secure our economy, while at the same time helping in the transition.
The Ministry of Justice says it'll push for charges to be brought against inmates caught on camera drinking, smoking and using mobile phones at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon in Hertfordshire. Here's Jessica Cooper.
The Ministry of Justice says inmates involved have been stripped of their privileges, with one placed in segregation after the video was posted on a number of newspaper websites. It shows prisoners dancing to loud music, a number of mobile phones inside a cell, along with steroids and screwdrivers. The MOJ says appropriate disciplinary action will be taken if there have been any failures in the supervision of offenders.
A 15-year-old boy arrested in County Antrim in connection with the theft of customer data from TalkTalk in last week's cyber attack will face further questioning today. Millions of people have been warned their personal data may have been accessed. 2 people are due before St Albans magistrates this morning charged with slavery offences. 25-year-old Johnny Murphy and 22-year-old Shannon Loveridge from Watford Road in St Albans are both charged with knowingly holding a person in slavery and forcing them to perform forced labour between April 2010 and September last year. The government is promising to lobby the European Union for the right to scrap VAT on women's sanitary products. At the moment, they're subject to a 5% levy because the EU counts them in the same bracket as luxury goods. In a debate last night, the Conservative MP for St Albans said it was bizarre that while a sanitary towel is hit by VAT, a mild incontinence pad isn't.
I would like this country to decide that it's actually a ridiculous illogicality to have different tax rates on similar-looking pads that could be used for interchangeable purposes.
Police are investigating after a number of horse limbs were found in rubbish bags in Watford. Legs, a recently shod horse's foot, horseshoes and an empty bag of horse food were discovered dumped on a playing field in Gammons Lane just over a fortnight ago. In sport, Luton Town have drawn Crawley Town in the first round proper of the FA Cup. Stevenage will play Gillingham. Wycombe Wanderers are against FC Halifax or Guiseley. The ties will be paid next month. And the weather, a fine morning with fog patches lifting. Heavy rain later this afternoon. Temperatures 17 Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Honestly, how do I... It was John Lennon watching the wheels, by the way. How do I complain about something I've seen on Twitter? Because forever I'm going to have Dealey's nipples burnt onto my retina. It's just outrageous. Has he learnt nothing from the BBC's long and shameful history? We don't do that stuff no more, Dealey. We just don't. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Oh, I've got a What's the Story Morning Glory. Maybe we'll do that at 7:30. I've got one of them. Bay City Rollers. Maps. I've written something about soup here. I've got no idea what that means. We'll go through these later on and we'll work out what it all means. Don't worry.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
03459 455 555. We'll try and do the 20 mile per hour news story again in about 10 minutes. Fingers crossed. Let's keep our fingers crossed it goes a little bit better. Now, the Ministry of Justice says it will push to bring charges against inmates who've been caught on camera drinking, smoking and using mobile phones at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon. The video, which has ended up on various newspaper websites and the internet in general and social media networks, shows at least 5 inmates dancing in a prison corridor. An inmate also shows off what he says are steroids and screwdrivers in his cell, along with 4 mobile phones. Well, Alan Toussaint has been a member of the Independent Monitoring Board for the Mount for the last 8 years. Joins me now. Morning, Alan.
Morning.
I'm assuming you've seen the footage.
I did. I saw it last night. Yes.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Well, yes. I think it is awful. It's awful. I'm bound to say I didn't identify myself any of the prisoners. I didn't recognise any of the prisoners, and I couldn't actually identify because it was rather grainy where it was shot in the prison. So I assume it was at the Mount, but assuming it was a bad thing. Yeah.
Listen, I'm supposed to be impartial. I'm not. I very rarely do I hide my impartiality. I'm a muesli knitting, sandal wearing lefty, and I think prisons are a great opportunity for rehabilitation. It's not about punishment and drug education and all of these kinds of things, right?
Right.
But that lot are taking the mick out of us, aren't they?
Well, they are. And in fact, the odd thing is that every prisoner wants to progress. It's a Category C prison. They all want to progress to Category D, open prison status. And to put yourself on film like that does nothing for their prospects of progression at all. They're walking into punishment. They're walking into it. Really, it's difficult to understand why. Okay, it'd be one thing if they found somewhere where they could go and have drugs and so on, but to actually publicise it like that seems to me to be shooting themselves in the feet as well.
The drugs thing, we know there are drugs in prison. We know that happens, and work needs to be done on that. And I am a strong believer that there should be 12-step groups and drug counsellors and all those kind of things in prisons.
Yeah.
But there also seems to be the fact that someone is filming it, and you see other mobile phones. Mobile phones are in it. Now we kind of make flippant comments about the prisoners secreting these mobile phones in places where it doesn't bear thinking about. That's one way. But it is true, isn't it, that prison wardens, I don't want to knock the industry because I think they do a great job, they are incredibly underpaid, and that you will get one or two prison wardens that will turn a blind eye or will take a few quid to smuggle phones in, won't you?
Well, that is an allegation. I don't know. I think that the Mount, the most obvious way to get things in is over the perimeter fence. It is an unusual prison. It's got a very large site, a big perimeter fence.
So people chucking stuff over?
Phones, you can control where they're going to be thrown over in packages, and they can be picked up. And that's, I think, the number one route for getting things into the prison. But I'm sure there are occasionally instances where prison staff, I know that 2 years ago, some prison staff was convicted on a criminal charge for bringing in something. But I don't think generally they come in through corrupt prison staff.
Oh no, and I'm not suggesting it's all of them at all. I have ultimate respect for the prison staff. I think they do a tough job, and they don't get the money or the respect that they deserve. And I'm just suggesting that maybe it could literally be one or two people that want to kind of top up their wages. I'm not knocking the whole industry.
Also, of course, prisoners have visits. The prison encourages prisoners to have visits, and visitors are generally screened, but there's always a certain flow of things coming in by visitors. And also you have a lot of merchandise coming to the workshops. Again, you've got this constant flow of transport coming in, people coming in, and again, it's difficult to say this is where the drugs come in or where the mobiles come in. And in fact, I would say to you, Iain, that really in the long run, that the sooner the prison service bit the bullet and incurred the expense to block the mobile phone signal, which would destroy the whole process.
Alan, do you know what? I was as you were talking. I was just thinking that we have we hardly get a phone signal in this building unless we have a booster on. And I was wondering, I don't know if the technology exists, if you can block a phone signal and a Wi-Fi signal in a prison. Is that possible?
Well, I'm told it is. I'm told originally they were concerned it would block people who weren't at the prison as well. It would be difficult to be too specific. But I'm told, and I'm not an expert, I'm told it is possible now. There's a technology to block it very specifically, so you could actually block it so that prisoners' mobile phones just would be no use. And actually, that would be a terrific step forward. It would really go to the heart of solving the problem. But once it was agreed at the Mount, then no doubt every prisoner would want it, and it is a question of cash. I mean, we are fighting the whole time with a situation in the public sector body where there are cost cuts the whole time. The prisons are not as well staffed as they'd like to be. To run a prison, and I don't know if you know, in the course of the last 12 months, the Mount has been greatly expanded. It did have a capacity of 770 prisoners. In the last 12 months, they built a new, monstrously large wing which holds 250 prisoners, so it's now gone up to 1,020. The staffing they need to manage this lot, and it's 24/7, is 330 staff, and they're always at least 10% short. They're always 30, 40 staff short. So you have these sort of problems, and it's all to do with, it's largely cost-driven, and we know that prisons have to be more economical, but the pressure is always on that, and it would be wonderful if someone would say, well, look, first of all, we need to block the mobile phone signals. That would cut out all of this mobile phone nonsense. I've never seen a prisoner with a mobile phone, but I'm told that they're absolutely all over the place. How they all got there, I don't know. But if a prison officer turns a blind eye, it's probably just because he feels it's futile if he saw one with another 1,000 he hadn't seen.
You'll go off to the prison this morning, are you? What are you going to be doing there? You're going to be joining a breakdancing competition? That seems to be de rigueur at the moment.
Exactly, yeah, we are the monitoring board, we're about 15 of us, and we have various races. And one is that every week on a Tuesday, 2 of us go in to see prisoners who've put in applications to see us. They can fill in a form, a yellow form, if they want to see a member of the Independent Monitoring Board, and it could be that they've lost property, it could be that they're frustrated that they can't get on a course they want to be on, etc., etc. There could be all sorts of reasons. They may be frustrated that they're on closed visits, which means that they're not allowed to see their relatives and visitors and make personal contact. They have to see it through a glass screen, and that's the sort of disciplinary measure. And these things, they may come to us and say they want to see us, and sometimes we can help them. More often than not, we can't. We just say, look, we can't. We're not managing the prison. The prison has behaved in the correct way, and sorry, but that's how it is. And but today, when I go in, one of my colleagues will be there, and we're probably ending up to 20 prisoners to see, and it'll take us all morning. Be in there in an hour's time, and I'll be there for 3 or 4 hours, and hopefully it'll go through this, and maybe I'll make 1 or 2 prisoners content. Most of them will be frustrated that we weren't able to help them.
Alan, really nice talking to you. Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate your time. It's Alan Toulson, who has been a member of the Independent Monitoring Board for the Mount for the last 8 years. That technology must exist to block a signal within a building, mustn't it? Because if the Wi-Fi switched off here, we don't get a phone signal. It's the weirdest thing. There was a couple of days last week when the machine broke and we're all going around going, I can't get a signal. Where's the signal? Hey, Kels, thanks for the double ender, mate. That is...
You're welcome, player.
She's given me a double ender. Look at the size of that. I'm never going to finish that.
Tony Blackburn's been in.
What, prison?
No, you're just in here.
Oh, what does he want now?
He's saying he really enjoyed the Glenn Campbell song. What was it?
Oh, Tony, it was by Harry Nilsson, Without Her. And it's from there's a brilliant compilation, I'm assuming you can still get it, double CD, I bet it costs next to nothing now, because I got mine about 15 years ago. Glenn Campbell, the capital years, 65 to 77. Every song, there's like some really big hits, and then there's other songs you go, oh, flipping it, and stuff like that, Without Her, which is one of the best Nilsson songs. And Harry Nilsson, I never quite got Nilsson. There's a few of them I like, there's a few of them that are brilliant, there's a lot I go, what? But I like, put the lime in the coconut, the bitty, but you put the lime in the coconut, you do it like that.
Such a silly woman.
Sorry?
That's what he says. You're such a silly woman.
You're doing David Bowie singing Lenny Kravitz.
As a doctor.
Put the lime in the coconut to pick it all up. You put the lime in the coconut and do it again. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. It's Kelly Betts's last week here. Here's the Venn diagram splitting. We're about to enter another Venn diagram because it's also Catherine Boyle's last day here this week. Yeah. So it's your last day working with Kelly Betts. Yeah. So what would you like to say to her? And I'm going to...
Oh, no, don't. I can't do this.
Morning, Tone. What would you like to say to her? Because I'm going to switch off my microphone. I'm going to play some...
Oh, don't. No, I can't.
No, listen. By the way, you've set the precedent. You've bought her a flipping present.
It's an amazing present.
Yeah, well, but the pressure's on now. What am I going to buy Kelly Betts as a leaving present?
Or something from the heart.
I'd rather get something from Amazon because then it just gets delivered to me straight away.
They're a nice book.
I tell you what we're going to do. We'll do the trav, we'll do the news, we'll come back. You give you a little minute. You two are going to have a moment on the radio. Is that all right?
No.
Brilliant.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 into London, it's starting to ease off now between junction 9 for Redbourne and 7 for Hemel Hempstead after the accident's been cleared out of the way. And on the M25, it is still looking very busy from junction 16 for the M40 to 15 for the M4 at the Thorney interchange. In Presswood on Wickham Road, there's roadworks at the junction for Hildreth Road, so that could cause some delays when it starts to get busier. And I've just seen that on the M25, there's been an accident between junction 22 for St Albans and 23 for the A1M, so that's causing it to be very slow. On the train departure board, there's no reported problems at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Sammy. eagle-eared amongst you would have picked up a little clue as to what's coming next. It's going to be, well, I think the next 4 minutes 30 is going to be so powerful a moment in radio that the Sonys are going to go, let's get the band back together one more time. Let's do those awards one more time just to honour this. It's coming up, guys. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Chancellor George Osborne has agreed to make changes to his plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. The Ministry of Justice says it's investigating after a video of partying inmates at the Mount Prison at Bovingdon in Hertfordshire was posted online. And boy, oh boy, this is an unpleasant story. I'm going to rephrase this ever so slightly. Police are investigating after a number of horse parts were found in rubbish bags dumped on playing fields in Watford.
Every weekday from 3.
It's not just about what we bring you.
Starting off on the M25, it's particularly heavy moving anti-clockwise.
It's also about what you bring us.
In the end, I could only eat off my ironing board.
Your stories.
Every room in the house was I was climbing over mountains of rubbish.
Your humour.
There's a reason why you earn the big bucks, you see. That sort of insightful comment is exactly right.
Your opinions.
Well, the culture's got to change because the police can't do it and the traffic wardens are so busy, so the culture has to change.
I think parents do change into different human beings when they are picking their kids up.
Roberto Perroni.
And everyone across beds, hearts and bucks.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kelly, can you get off the phone a minute?
Daryl, I've got your telephone number. I'm going to give you a call back, all right?
Kelly?
Yes, my love.
I've got something I want to say to you.
Okay.
Try not to cry.
Mm.
I've been thinking about us.
Mm.
And I've been thinking, you know, we're like... I don't know. When it works, it's really good. We're like Fleetwood Mac, aren't we? Like the good Fleetwood Mac before they went. And like the Spice Girls when they all got on and...
Yeah.
Maybe take that a bit. Not do what you like. That's a bit more dealy than us.
Yeah.
Less Club 7, maybe. Anyway, I've been thinking about them and...
One Direction.
Actually, I'm going to write that one down. That's good.
Okay.
One Direction. Because all those...
You spelt direction wrong.
Shh, don't mind.
That's rude.
Shh. All those teams are amazing together. But it could never last, could it? Because of one person's towering ego and the fact they thought they were too good to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not happening here, is it? Because it's not about your ego. It's about the fact you deserve better.
Thanks.
And I hope you're going to get it repeatedly in London.
I think I will. I've seen
So
them
fly free. Kelly Betts, fly free.
Girls, there's another 2 minutes of the track.
Hello, Three Counties.
Yeah, no.
She's not interested.
No, there's
Gone.
another 2 minutes of the...
Okay, what do you want me to do for 2 minutes?
No, fine. We probably got it there. I think we milked it enough there.
Should I stop milking it?
Yeah, please do. You all right, Kels?
Yeah.
You were supposed to stay silent in that bit.
The phone rang.
Yeah, well, you were supposed to stay silent.
Shall I stay silent now and then edit it over?
Do you know what happened?
On beds, hards and bugs, Kelly Betts muffs it up again.
You see?
Can I keep that?
Yes, because I've had that for about 2 months and I forgot I had it, so we've only got 4 more days use out of it.
In my head, it's Bets, Hearts and Bugs.
Well, that's
the monstrous ego again.
That's a step too far. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Residents of a street in Watford, which has a 20 miles per hour speed limit, say drivers are ignoring the signs and no one is enforcing it. Mike Toll says hundreds of drivers converge on Croxley View at school pick-up and drop-off times, and the signage alone is having no effect on speeders. We can speak to Mike now. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Jesus.
So how do we know that the signs aren't working? What's going on?
Well, when they were installed, we knew nothing. We didn't know who applied for a 20 mile an hour speed limit, but suddenly one morning I woke up and there were 20 mile an hour speed limits. But there were no backup signs, no road markings, there were signs missing, there was no lights on the signs. So I queried it with the county councillor, and he admitted that they were sham.
What do you mean by sham?
Well, they were put up hoping that people would adhere to them, but they weren't official. I believe there's a legal order has to be passed before they can...
Yeah, I'd heard this before about various places where... I remember we had... Years ago, when I started this job, Mike, we had a councillor on talking about how they were going to introduce 20 mile per hour speed limits in residential areas. And then he said, but it's not legally enforceable. We're just putting up there, hope people will follow it. We've asked the council about this, and the council have said they are legal, and a traffic regulation order has been in place since 2008, meaning they can be enforced.
Each signpost, each signpost should have a light on it.
Right.
Each sign should be lit up. It should be backed up by road markings, and there are roads which haven't got any signs at all leading on to this. So people coming along there, they don't know they're going into a 20 mile an hour speed limit. It's just a mystery.
Yeah.
People don't adhere to the speed limit. Far from it. We've got our share of boy racers, but.
So what do you want to see done, Mike? You just want lights on the signs? What else would you like?
Road markings. There's a road, as I say, you come along one road and you don't know you're going into a 20 mile an hour speed limit. So we need that road marked up. Each of these signposts should have a light on. Certain signposts like 20 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour, no entry, one way. They've all got the posts are lit up at night. So you can see.
Mike, listen, Mike, stay there for 1 second. I want to bring in Councillor Nigel Bell, who's from Hertfordshire County Council. He's the local councillor. Morning, Nigel.
Yeah, morning.
So is this legal or not? These 20 mile, are they legally enforceable or not?
As far as I know, they are, because I'm told that they're supposed to be mandatory. So therefore, counties should be enforcing them. But question is getting it to be enforced. And I would like to get the police down there.
Has a traffic regulation order been put in place? Because it's one thing putting up signs. You then have to get the traffic regulation order to make those signs legally enforceable.
Yeah, as far as I know, the regulation order was put in years ago, but
right.
It's something we'll have to follow up.
Yeah,
I know it. I can't remember exactly what year it was put up. But
because if that order isn't put in place, then people are allowed to do, I imagine, 30. That is legal. But either way, people are ignoring these signs, aren't they, Nigel? What can we do to make sure they don't?
Well, I'd like to see more, as Mike told you, says that, he's quite right, and he's representing a lot of residents. I think we do need to see more enforcement by police in that area, because if there's been a lot of incidents, a lot of people have reported some to me, of speeding in that area, especially when it's right near a school, well, 2 schools and a children's centre, then I think we need to get the police down there to do at least mobile speed limits and maybe have a blitz on that area.
Isn't it the thing though with these things? And I'm just kind of thinking out loud, because I wouldn't want people speeding around near my kids' school. You get police there for a couple of days, people slow down for a couple of days, and then next week when the police aren't there, they go back to their bad habits.
Yeah, I know, and in a sense, it's to do with changing the whole culture of when you bring in 20 mile per hour zones. Some people want to make the whole, and I understand it, that most of the inner part of Watford, a 20 mile per hour area, 20 mile per hour zone, depending on what you call it. But a lot of that will be to do with, yes, you get the signs up, and then basically it's So the police won't have the time to enforce it everywhere. They'll have other things to do, to be honest. So you do need people, the culture, everybody who lives in that area, to actually try and go along with it themselves. You know, I know if it's one particular area, it's probably going to be easier to do.
Speed cameras? Could you not put a camera at one end of the street, camera at the other? That works.
We could look at it, but I mean, the criteria for a speed camera now is quite difficult. It's to do with the accidents in the last 3 years, whether there's been a fatality and all that sort of thing. But if there's you have to have a look at what the accident, what the figures are for the last 3 years in that area, I suppose.
Yeah, Mike, what do you reckon?
Well, Nigel knows the area.
Yeah.
And he knows that if you enter Croxley View by opposite Summer Place,
yeah,
and then you turn right into Chesham Way, that comes out the other end of Croxley View. But there's no signs in Chesham Way saying this. You're going into a 20 mile an hour speed limit. There are no signs in Chesham Way.
Yeah.
There are no road markings, which
I suppose, Mike, it's more money, isn't it? And if people are going to ignore it, I don't know how much a road sign and road markings cost, but it's a few quid. If people are going to ignore it, is it worth putting more money into it?
I think it's worth it.
You're saying, is it worth it? I mean, the thing is, we've got on that little area alone, there must be nearly 800 school children. Just in that St Anthony's, Westfield Junior and Westfield Academy, there must be 800 at least. 800. We've got 2 nurses on that road, and it's a busy road traffic-wise. It's a bus route as well.
Nigel, your final word to you on this?
No, I mean, I agree with that. I think there's also a children's centre there as well. So I think, it is something we need to look at, and I have to try and get County Council to move on this. If we can get as many residents as Mike and others, maybe get a petition and say, look, there's no point in just putting those 2 signs in, which Mike is talking about, near where he is, and then suddenly there's nothing else. We need to get a change. It needs to get a change in local people's culture and the way they're driving around there as well, to be honest.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Nigel Bell from Hertfordshire County Council was the last voice, and local resident Mike Toll. 03459 455 555.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Toll by name, toll by age, for whom the mic tolls. You know, maybe we install a toll system. I never used the toll. When I used to, sometimes I drive up the, M6? Mm-hmm. They have a toll road there. I'd rather take the slower way.
Depends whether I've been paid or not.
Yeah, I know. I'd never pay the toll.
Oh, I have.
I don't pay the toll.
If I've got to get to my Grand's, she's old. I've not got time to waste.
I suppose when you put it like that.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, there are delays in both directions between junction 22 for St Albans and 23 for the A1M at South Mims. It's after a police incident earlier. There was a rolling roadblock in both directions. It's open again now, but it's still very slow. On the A1M southbound, it's slow from junction 8 for Hitchin to 7 for Stevenage, and it's very busy on the M1 southbound around junction 12 for Flitwick, but it's easing off between junction 9 for Redbourne and 7 for Hemel Hempstead, where there was an accident earlier. In Dunstable, the High Street South is very busy between the A505 and Dunstable Road, and looking at the train departure boards, there are no major delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30 with the headlines and sport. I'm Gail Sanderson. The Chancellor, George Osborne, has agreed to make changes to plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. Peers voted to delay the cuts and force the Treasury to provide 3 years of help to those low-paid workers affected by the policy. A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire, Alan Toulson, says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. His call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. Detectives are continuing to question a 15-year-old boy who was arrested in County Antrim yesterday in connection with the alleged theft of data from the TalkTalk website. And people living in a Watford street say the 20-mile-an-hour signs installed by the council are being ignored by motorists. Residents in Croxley View say the signs are pointless because the speed limit is not enforced. And the weather, a fine morning with fog lifting, heavy rain later, maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In football, Jose Mourinho has been charged with misconduct by the FA over his language and behaviour in Chelsea's defeat by West Ham. It's understood it doesn't trigger his suspended stadium ban, as the nature of the offences differ. Both clubs have been charged for failing to control their players. Luton Town have drawn Crawley Town in the first round proper of the FA Cup. Stevenage will play Gillingham. Wycombe Wanderers are against FC Halifax or Guiseley. Chesham United have drawn Bristol Rovers. St Albans City are to play Grimsby Town. Barnet have drawn Blackpool, and Bournemouth will play Northwich Victoria or Chorley. The ties will be played next month. England captain Alistair Cook blamed a first innings batting collapse for his side defeat by Pakistan in the second test in Dubai. The tourists came within 6.3 overs of securing a draw, but Cook pointed to England's loss of 7 wickets for 36 runs on Saturday as a key point in the game. He said he wouldn't rule out making team changes ahead of the third test.
This is always what happens when you lose games of cricket, and when you're in a high-pressured environment, especially international cricket, people do struggle for form. So, it's up to, the management, the selectors now. We've got to sit down, dust ourselves off and try and pick the right side for Sharjah. It's very hard to comment on that right now until we see in the wicket, all that kind of stuff. But of course, when you lose a game or when people aren't quite performing, then you always have to look at that.
World Cup winning captain Franz Beckenbauer says he accepts responsibility for the German FA's mistake in making a payment of €6.7 million to FIFA. However, he's denied the money was used to buy votes to secure the 2006 World Cup. In athletics, Great Britain have won their 7th gold medal of the IPC Athletics World Championships in Doha. Paul Blake successfully defended his T36 800 metres title. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 8.
Paul Scoins is weird. Paul Scoins is weird. Paul Scoins is weird. Paul Scoins is weird. Paul Scoins.
There's a blueberry pancake flying in the sky. I can see it. I can see it. There's a castle in the cloud and it's floating on by. Can you see it? Can you see it? With my imagination, I can see it. With my pencil crayon, I can draw it. On a piece of paper, I can show it to you. I can show it to you. There's a purple hippopotamus riding on a bike. I can see it. I can see it. There's a spaceship over my house at night. I just know it. I just know it. With my imagination, I can see it. With my pencil crayon, I can draw it. On a piece of paper, I can show it to you. I can show it to you. That's right.
Sit down there, boss. You don't get out of it that easily, Tony Blackton. You don't come in to, and I'm going to say it on air, so I've got witnesses, threaten me. He comes in, waving his fists around, oily. You get a little bit. We were asking this morning, Tony, very important question. It turns out that 1 in 50, 2% of all hot dogs contain human DNA. It's in the newspaper, so it must be true.
I was listening to you coming up, and it worries me that being a vegetarian, and you were saying some vegetarian stuff.
Mate, the vegetarian stuff has got me in. Where is it? That traces were are also found in 2/3 of vegetarian samples, with 10% of the veggie products containing meat.
Oh.
I'm sorry to say.
Well, I tend to eat vegetables, Annie. I don't like food very much, you see. It's one of those...
Can you clip that, please, Kelly? Because that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Absolutely being serious. If they would come up with a little pill that you could take in the morning that would keep you filled up and just keep you going, that's what I would do.
Do you not like food, really?
No,
I love sitting down with a good meal, the sauces, the other things you get with food. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Actually, I mean, if I could do without eating food, I would do that.
Wow,
But you'd die, wouldn't you?
You would die, actually.
Yeah,
yes, and I don't want that to happen to you for a long, long time.
Yeah.
OK, if you don't like food, but the question is, if you had to eat somebody, Tony Blackburn,
yes,
who would you eat?
Who would I eat? I would probably eat myself. Because being a vegetarian,
okay,
I would know that there's no meat product inside me.
You've interviewed a lot of pop stars, a lot of rock stars, a lot of soul stars. None of those you've eyed up and as maybe you'd missed lunch.
Shaka Khan, probably.
Thanks very much indeed, Tony Blackburn.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, go on, get out now. Come on, get out, for goodness sakes. Go. Go. I'm
not going to go.
Go, please. The whole nation go. Go. And don't interrupt my team who are working hard out there. Shaka Khan. I bet she's delicious, actually. I bet nice garlic butter.
Repeats on you, though. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan.
Oh, you did it,
Chaka Khan.
Did it, Can I just say?
Go on.
The 15-year-old fanboy, every time Tony Blackburn comes on my show, goes...
I know. I just went out to the loo and I got caught talking to Tony Blackburn on the way, and I was imagining when you said to me, "Where have you been?" I could say, "I've been having a chat with Tony Blackburn."
The geek in me says every time, he's come on my show, and then he says really nice things to me. Anyway, right, 03459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. I need Dealey because I've got a What's the Story Morning Glory coming up in a second. So when
he's got his clothes on,
he's got. Well,
I could shout him. He's in the office. Shall I shout
go
him
and shout. Go shout him. He's just got a little What's the Story coming up. That's all it is, guys. That's all it is. While she's shouting for Dealey, Kiri's. Oh, you two always come hand in hand. You two always come together. It's Kiri.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right, Kirs. How are you?
Good, thank you. Right, I've done a poem this time for Kelly.
Why is... OK, listen, we're trying to... Dealey, come in and join me. Take the red one. Blackburn's just used that microphone, so it's there's good vibes coming off it.
OK, lovely.
Got your top on?
Yeah, now,
That tweet was really inappropriate.
You do realise how hot it is out there, don't you?
It's the offices today, Kiri, at BBC Three Counties Radio are boiling.
I can come and fan Justin if you want.
Well, the thing is, this is the thing, Kiri. You could do. He'll probably be topless, though. I just tweeted a picture of him, and you can see his nipples. Justin Dealey's Nipples, by the way, great name for a band, if anyone... It'll be a comedy single. You'd be one-hit wonders, but it'd be well worth it.
To be fair, though, can I just put this into context? Because
please do, mate,
okay,
yes.
This morning you sent me out onto the streets at 6 o'clock and you said, can you go and ask people on the streets if they had to eat somebody, who would they want to eat and why?
You heard Tony Blackburn, Shaka Khan.
Yeah. Tony. What a legend that guy is.
He's so good. That's what he said. He said, well, it'll be me. I said, yeah, but there must have been a pop star. Oh, yeah, Shaka Khan.
So you sent me out into the streets.
Yes, boss.
I was running around for 20 minutes trying to get answers from people on which celebrity would you like to eat. So I've come back into the office and I'm even hotter. So for those 20 minutes, I admit I took my top off and I was editing the audio. Okay. However, nobody could see me. That's why I did. I wouldn't do it now.
Gail is genuinely upset that she missed it.
I know she is,
She's gutted.
Yeah, I was behind her.
OK. So, Kiri, what have you called in about?
I've got a poem about Kelly.
This is because Kelly's leaving. We're asking everyone to do their own little obits and little pieces, and then it turns out I am going to edit them together. Probably tomorrow. All right. So
you seriously?
Oh,
do you know how to use the stuff?
It will take me about 4 hours. I won't use this rubbish. I'll use Audacity on the computer. My computer. I'll do it at home. It took me about 4 hours to do a 3.5-minute piece, but it's going to. Apart from the levels will be completely to cock. But it's going to be, and it's going to be. And do you know what, Kels? I know that Catherine's bought you a bracelet. That package is going to be my gift to you, my leaving gift to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because...
No, I mean it. I look forward to having the cassette that you'll make for me.
I will burn it onto cassette.
Thank you.
But everyone's doing poems, and I flipping hate poetry on the radio.
You don't like poems, do you?
I don't like poems. All right, then, but we're going to let you do it, Kiri. It's got to be in the past tense, and it's got to mention Kelly, OK?
Well, obviously.
Well, you say obviously. Some people have not been able to grasp that concept.
Okay, right.
All right,
okay.
wait, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome...
Don't interrupt me when I do it, Ian.
Oh, all right, love, blimey. You got a bit of a cold? You sound a bit nasally.
I've just got up.
Oh, OK.
That's
okay. All right. So,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome... Oh, hang on a second, the computer's gone to cock. Please welcome Kiri with her parting message to Kelly Betts.
Kelly, the time came and went, and now you've left the show. Ian clearly won't miss you.
Stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. You said now. Now is present. So take the word now out, and that sentence will still work. You've left the show, okay? Ready, steady, go.
Kelly, the time came and went, and you've left the show. Ian clearly won't miss you. Catherine is talking to you on the phone.
That's present tense. What is wrong with these people? Seriously, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these? It's present tense. Catherine is talking to you on the phone.
Yeah, because she's left and now she's talking to her on the phone.
Hang on one second. Tony Blackburn's just walked in. Tony, do you fancy a sandwich or something?
I don't like food very much, you see.
Okay, we'll leave it then. It's fine. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I'll have them all myself. You've done it in present tense.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Hang on. It is present tense.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Right, see what we can do. You can call in tomorrow when it's in past tense.
I mean, really.
I'm not having this.
Broken Britain.
Broken Britain can't tell their tenses. It's getting tense in here.
This obit is going to be very short.
Yes.
Because people are
and
giving up.
I think it is going to be very short, Kelly. And when you realise how short it is, you need to ask yourself some questions about why it's so short.
Yeah. Why do people not know their tenses?
Anyway.
Back from the dead and taking it to the streets of beds, hards and bugs. Justin Dealey.
Thank you, boss.
Here we go. It's What's the Story? Morning Glory, ladies and gentlemen. We read a headline from the newspapers. You have to try and guess what the story is. What's that for?
Just love you guys.
Oh, stop that.
I'm just taking you all in.
Well,
What?
steady.
Hmm?
Assault and buttery. Assault and buttery. If you don't mind, so last week we're going to go to the bets first.
Yeah, that's fine. I was going to say, please.
Kelly, away you go, my love.
Hmm?
Assault and buttery. Assault.
Why are you Googling?
She's
No, I'm not.
She's trying to put Gatford through, but he's done one.
He's hung up.
He's let us down yet again.
Yeah, of course. What do you expect?
What's the spelling?
That's when
that matters.
No, is it assault like the bad
the
stuff?
headline is assault, or the good stuff like violence.
No, or the good stuff like salt that you put on your
Just
chips.
answer the flipping heck.
Can I declare?
Beds, hards and bugs. Kelly Betts muffs it up again.
Can I declare an interest here? I know what it is, so I'm out.
All right, Catherine. I knew you would because you're a massive news bumlick.
Oh.
No, don't tell her. Kelly.
No, what?
What, assault and buttery?
Is it about... sorry, I'm just putting...
It's right, I can take him. When they're doing... You talk to me. Focus, I'll take him. Go on.
Is it
Right,
about...
she's writing it down on a bit of paper. I mean, what the flipping hell is the problem with these people?
I'm going to give you a good answer here.
All right,
okay,
I look forward to it.
You know sometimes how people throw salt over their shoulder for good luck?
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, they do. Yeah.
So
get rid of the devil. Get rid of the devil.
So I think somebody is in a restaurant and they've spilt some salt on the table. They've picked it up, thrown it over their shoulder for good luck. It's hit the person behind them.
Yeah.
They've got up. It's all kicked off. Assault and buttery.
But where's the butter come into it?
It could be like, battering.
Yeah, but they would say battery.
Yeah, but no. I think this is good.
The buttery is obviously an important part of it.
Is it?
Well, it's assault and buttery.
Yeah, but it's a play on words.
Yeah, but you've not done the play on words.
All right, okay, that's the best I've got.
Gatford, what do you reckon?
I reckon Jado's right.
Thanks, mate.
Well, he's not, mate.
No, but he is, because you are a present tense, past tense bully, and now you're bullying J-Dog.
I was bullying J-Dog.
Yes, no, and you have been bullying J-Dog.
In the past, I have bullied J-Dog. I am not bullying J-Dog right now. That moment has finished. Past tense, present tense. I will bully him again in the future.
Again.
Future tense.
Yeah.
Have you got it now?
Yeah,
right, without further ado, do the poem.
Kelly Betts has gone. She's been replaced by John.
She's been replaced. She's been replaced.
Yes, that's right.
She's been
That's where it
replaced.
ends.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Right, let's go to the board of voters. And Catherine Boyle, you happy with that?
Well, has been is kind of. Is it the pluperfect?
Don't use-
Is that what we call it?
Don't use the phrase has been. It just sits uncomfortably.
Who's
John?
I'd be more comfortable with was.
Yeah, have you got any Aswad? What? Tis was Aswad?
Was. I'd be more comfortable with was.
Aswad. She wants Aswad. I want Tis was. Dealey, what would you like?
Whatever. I'm easy.
So Tis was, Aswad, and whatever. Can you sort that out for us?
No.
Thanks very much indeed.
Who's John?
I've got no flipping idea. We'll reveal the answer to this after this.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the A5 southbound in Milton Keynes, the lane's been blocked near Grafton Street, and also on the A5, the High Street South in Dunstable, it's very slow southbound between West Street and Dunstable Road. On the M1, it's very busy between junction 13 for Milton Keynes South and 12 for Flitwick, and it's also busy on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 23 for the A1M at South Bims after a stoppage earlier on. On the A1 southbound approaching the Black Cat roundabout, delays are building up from the St Neots junction, and on the train departure boards, there are no major delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. 7:46. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says he'll make changes to his plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire says officials should consider blocking inmates' phone signals. The call comes after a video of inmates partying, drinking and breakdancing was posted online. And police are investigating after a number of horse parts were found in rubbish bags dumped on playing fields in Watford. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there, a bit of mist and fog around this morning, but clearing to give us, leave us with a fair amount of cloud, but it does brighten up later on, so we should have a spell of sunshine. However, it clouds over ahead of ahead of some rain. It's going to be pushing through later on. Now, temperature-wise, we're looking at highs of about 17 degrees Celsius, so mild for the time of year. That rain continues through the night with lows of 11 degrees, and also tomorrow morning. So wet commute, but the further west you are, the sooner you'll see the back of it as it clears through the day, with some sunny spells by the end of the afternoon. Highs of 14 degrees Celsius. Thursday starts off dry, but we've got rain coming through later on. It's a fairly narrow, fast-moving band, though, so it should be short-lived. And a pulse of rain earlier in the day on Friday, but it does look a little more settled over the weekend. That's your latest forecast.
Every weekday morning.
Isn't it nice to have a good discussion about things in a polite way?
My opinion is, you make a very valid point. As long as the person can do the job, I don't care. Hence, I'm saying she's completely out of touch.
It doesn't always happen like that, though, does it?
Well, if you let me speak, I'll let you know what they are then.
Well, that don't prove that an accident's been caused, does it?
The JVS Show.
My big phone in every morning from 9 gets everybody talking.
First of all, I congratulate you. Got a very good topic on this morning. I'd like to share some experiences.
I'm not going to respond to that statement because I find that quite inflammatory.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hang on a minute. Oh, flipping computers. Here. There we go. That's what we're after. Assault and buttery. Dealey? You've done it. You've failed.
Yeah, I know. Well, hang on.
Hang on. You failed.
You get a second chance sometimes in life. Everyone deserves a second chance.
No one gets a second chance in when we're playing What's the Story. You know the rules.
I think somebody has been assaulted with butter.
What?
He's closer than he was to that nonsense about. He's picked up on the buttery bit. Catherine, you know the story.
Yeah.
What's the story? Morning Glory.
The story is this and this. Two brothers.
Yeah.
Police called. They're having a fight. What are they fighting over?
The butter.
A round of toast.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Police were called to stop two brothers arguing over a slice of toast in Humberside, East Yorkshire.
Toast is serious up north.
And that, David, is what makes Britain great.
Yeah, I'm sure you're absolutely right.
Hey, listen, I was in a unique position yesterday in that I was listening to the Roberto Perrone show. I don't mean he's only got one listener, but I was listening to the Roberto Perrone show and he was talking about ghosts.
Yeah,
Did you hear it?
I heard about this
You mean
yesterday.
ghosts?
Talking about ghosts.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he said, right, we're going to go to David and Hitchin now. And you popped up And I've got to be honest, your phone sounds even worse when I'm listening to you on the radio than it does in this studio.
How does Rob sound again?
No.
Sorry?
How does Rob sound again?
Rob sounds like Rob sounds... OK, we're going to go to David and Hitchin now.
Manly.
Proper lads.
That's not a bad impression.
Oh, good, yes.
It's more polite than the one I do in the office. Oh, gosh. I'm joking, Rob. Anyway, I was listening to his show. It was a good show. And then you came on talking about ghosts.
Ghosts.
Hi. Yeah, I've got time for Kelly Betts.
I bet you have.
I know.
The thing is, I don't know if it's worth doing in such low fidelity.
Well,
are you saying he comes in?
No. I'm saying.
Careful, then.
I'm just saying. All right. Well, then, what is it? Is it in any way? What is it?
It's just some words.
Okay. Well, if it's just some words, let's have the words then. Away you go.
Okay. I'm missing Kelly Betts. Her interest and concern when I spoke with her on the phone. Kelly was someone I can never forget. Anything?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's heartfelt. I didn't really get any of the words. Steely, you're a man of words. You're like one of those urban poets who isn't very good at poetry, but gets work on the BBC just because it ticks a box.
Okay.
Give us your insight into what David was saying.
I've got to be honest with you, Dave. I like you as a person, but...
you respect him as a human being.
I respect you as a person. I respect your aura. I respect your cats. But unfortunately, that was absolutely awful. Sorry, Dave. Can you come back tomorrow?
It wasn't meant to be poetry.
Oh. Well, whatever it wasn't particularly good.
Two things, David. Two things. We've been talking about the past tense. You used am missing and will never. Sad times.
Sorry, David, you're not making it through to the next round.
Well, of course you miss somebody if they're not there.
Of course, well, not always. Sometimes.
David, I absolutely loved it. Thank you.
And she's going to come round to your house and you can recite it to her face to face. How's about that, Big Dave?
Yeah, if you can stand and look at my face, yeah.
Good lad.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Here's a story that you might want your young people not to listen to because it's a little bit grim, actually. I've been rephrasing it slightly. It's about these horses and bits and pieces. So if you've got your kids, why don't you go and send them out in the garden and give them a box of matches or something? It's a joke. But you might want to listen to this, might not want to listen to this. An investigation is underway after a number of horse limbs were found dumped in rubbish bags on a playing field in Watford. 2 rubbish bags containing the legs of horses or ponies, a recently shod horse's foot, shoes and an empty bag of horse food were discovered dumped in Gammons Lane just over a fortnight ago. Well, Jeanette Allen is the CEO of Horse Trust. This is kind of remarkable, Jeanette, isn't it? Oh, hang on a minute. Where are you? You're on that one there. Sorry, Jeanette, I had the wrong fader up. This is quite a remarkable story, isn't it?
It's completely appalling and it's utterly illegal. The disposal of a horse carcass is something that's quite heavily regulated. Apart from these animals obviously not being treated with any dignity, someone's done something extremely naughty.
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the story. I don't know who discovered it, but it's what a gruesome find for anybody that would stumble across something like that.
It's absolutely shocking. The reality is if you're a responsible horse owner, you have to be prepared for the fact that you own a very large animal, and when the sad time comes that it passes away naturally or you have to have it put to sleep for its own interest, then you must also have the money available to have it removed properly. And as I said, that's properly regulated. There are rules about how you do that, and it's absolutely shocking that this could happen.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it could just boil down potentially to money, the fact that someone did it like this.
It could do. The issue we have on a European scale is that any horse that has received a drug called bute, which is the horse equivalent of paracetamol. It's a very, very common painkiller and anti-inflammatory for horses. If they've ever received that horse cannot, at the end of its life, go to an abattoir because it's not allowed to enter the food chain. Now, this is a bit grim, but it means that horse doesn't have a value at the end of life. You can't sell it to the abattoir. It only has a cost. And that cost is to have it humanely destroyed and then legally disposed of. And that usually means cremation.
When they find the person who did this, do we know what... I mean, is it against the law what they've done? What would the punishment be?
I don't know what the punishment would be, to be honest. It's probably going to be a matter for the local authority. But if, for example, you did want to bury a pet horse...
Bury?
You can.
Flipping heck.
No small undertaking, let me tell you.
Yeah, I bet.
And we would certainly not recommend it, but you must get permission from your local authority to do that because it's a very large animal. It can't be near a water source. It has to be so deep. So really the only sensible thing to do is to contact the local slaughterman or go through your vet and have it removed safely and disposed of properly.
How much would it cost, roughly, to get rid of a horse that has no financial value?
The cheapest I've come across is between £100 and £150.
So okay. So it's not extortionate.
If you can afford to keep a horse, you should have that kind of money available. It can, depending on where you live, be up to £500. But again, I would say if you're planning on owning an equine animal, even Shetland ponies weigh 300 kilograms. You know, you must be prepared to look after them properly when the time comes at the end of their life.
Jeanette, it's a really grim story. I appreciate you kind of treading carefully around it for our young ears. Thank you very much indeed, Jeanette Allen, CEO of Horse Trust. I just think, oh God, now I'm out walking the dog. If I find bags or anything, I'm always looking at, what's that? I'm looking in that. I just think, if I'd found that, if my kiddies had found that, flipping heck. Isn't that grim? You can bring the kids back now. We finished. 03459 455 555.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bone dig. Sorry, I keep meaning to turn my phone off. I do apologise. That's outrageous behaviour. Catherine, have we got any texts?
Yes. We have.
Go on then.
Chip Butty.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
No, okay. Thanks
But
very much,
thanks for
guys.
that. Thanks for your contribution. Another one is an anonymous text. Why are the speed cameras on Dunstable Road all covered over? Question mark.
I just don't know. It's just one of life's mysteries.
There's another one. I mean, I don't know what this one is either. Snuffers. It's amazing what plastic surgeons can do now. Burning nipples onto retinas. Who would have thought?
If you've been paying attention to the show, you would know.
Oh.
Now, you know that I've put off two pop stars by singing very loudly.
Yes.
The Prince and the Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Diamonds. Whitney superfan booted out of theatre for singing so badly. I know it's sad, isn't it? But also at the same time,
Whitney
brilliant.
would definitely have chucked him out.
You say him, let's find out. Woman, a theatre goer was thrown out of The Bodyguard.
Oh dear. Gosh.
For making a racket singing along to Whitney Houston hits.
There's some very hard songs in that.
You read the rest of the story. That's not what she got thrown out for.
Oh, right. She had a few.
The superfans' wailing annoyed others in the audience, but then she started hurling abuse at them when they told her to shut up.
That'll be it.
3 bouncers marched her out. If you've ever seen anybody escorted off the premises anywhere, 03459 455 555. 3 bouncers marched her outside before the interval. Sasha Gaynard, who heard the woman singing quotes loudly and badly, said, "She was swearing and being aggressive to those trying to shush her. It ruined the first half." I imagined the show The Bodyguard ruined the first half by being the show The Bodyguard. Witness Benjamin Waterall added...
Witness or Whitney's?
A lady shouted to one of the bouncers, "We have a gobby one here!"
Wow, nice crowd.
Alexandra Burke, 27, carried on in the lead role of Rachel Marron, Whitney's character in the 1992 film with Kevin Costner. Nottingham's Royal Concert Hall confirmed a customer was asked to leave on... Imagine a lady shouted to the bouncers, we got a right gobby one over here."
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Milton Keynes on the A5 southbound, the lane's blocked near Grafton Street because a car's broken down. In Margate on the A5 southbound approaching the M1 junction line for Redbourne, it's starting to look very slow on the speed sensors. And there are also delays on the M1 southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick. On the M25, it's very busy between junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Potters Bar anti-clockwise. And on the M40 heading from the Denham roundabout towards the M25, it's very busy there too. Actually, delays are all the way back from the Swakeleys roundabouts in Uxbridge. On the train departure border, there's no reported problems at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much.
local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Gail Sanderson. The headlines: the Chancellor says he'll make changes after defeat over tax credit cuts. Call for block on phone signals at a Hertfordshire prison. And residents want more traffic calming measures in a Watford street.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The Chancellor, George Osborne, has agreed to make changes to his plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. Peers voted to delay the cuts and force the Treasury to provide 3 years of help to those low-paid workers affected by the policy. Mr Osborne said he'd still be able to make substantial savings to the welfare bill.
I said I would listen, and that's precisely what I intend to do. I believe we can achieve the same goal of reforming tax credits, saving the money we need to save to secure our economy, while at the same time helping in the transition.
A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. The call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. Alan Toulson says blocking phone signals may be one way of dealing with the problem.
I'm told it is possible now. There's a technology to block it very specifically, so you could actually block it so that prisoners' mobile phones just would be no use. And actually that would be a terrific step forward.
2 teenagers who were shot in an incident in South Buckinghamshire on Sunday afternoon remain in hospital. The 15-year-old and 17-year-old are being treated in hospital for serious leg injuries. Police have placed a watch in the park in Burnham, but don't believe it was a random attack. People living in a Watford street say they need more traffic calming measures because motorists are ignoring their 20-mile-per-hour signs. County Councillor Nigel Bell, who represents the area, said he would like the police to enforce the speed limit down Croxley View.
If there's been a lot of incidents of speeding in that area, especially when it's right near a school, well, 2 schools and a children's centre, then I think we need to get the police down there to do at least mobile speed limits and maybe have a blitz on that area.
A 15-year-old boy arrested in County Antrim in connection with the theft of customer data from TalkTalk in last week's cyber attack will face further questioning today. Millions of people have been warned their personal data may have been accessed. The government's promising to lobby the European Union for the right to scrap VAT on women's sanitary products. At the moment, they're subject to a 5% levy because the EU counts them in the same bracket as luxury goods. In a Commons debate last night, the Conservative MP for St Albans, Anne Main, said Britain should be able to make its own decisions on tax.
Whilst we may wish to go and ask, please, European Union, please, can you allow us to do what we would like to do, which is free up our women from this taxation that only affects them, a FEMI tax, as I would say. On the other hand, I wouldn't like to have to go and ask. I'd like to be able to have the ability to do it.
In sport, Luton Town have drawn Crawley Town in the first round proper of the FA Cup. Stevenage will play Gillingham and Wycombe Wanderers are against FC Halifax or Guiseley. The ties will be played next month. And the weather, a fine morning with any fog patches lifting, but later this afternoon there'll be heavy rain. Maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius, 63 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you very much. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. So, ever seen a show disrupted for whatever reason? Now that we know that nearly all hot dogs contain human DNA, if you had to eat somebody, who would it be? Blackburn's gone for Shaka Khan. Nice one. 03459 455 555, and it is Kelly Betts' last week. If you want to phone up with a past tense obit, not a poem. Then again, give us a call.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, David.
Hello.
You've just been on.
I know. It's something very, very quick. If you eat human brain, it gives you a disease called Kuru, which is incredibly debilitating. It has a side issue that it improves your brain.
How do you know this? Have you eaten human brain?
No, I've got about 700 books, and about 100 of them are various forms of science.
That's there we go, David. Thank you very much indeed. So that would be there's about 30% of his books are some form of science. So that's exciting news for everybody involved there. 03459 455 555. Where are we going? Have we got a guest? Or?
No, I'm trying to get hold of her still. She's not answering.
You get hold of her, and I will. There's a weird story in the Mail, right, that's trying to create outrage where outrage need not be, right? Afghanistan hero with one leg is barred from disabled loo. If that were the story, that would be outrageous. The headline makes you think that's the story. Shall we read the story and delve a little bit deeper? A Royal Marine, said to be the most injured serviceman to survive the Afghanistan campaign, disabled top trumps, was denied access to a disabled toilet at a sports centre. Disgusting. Again, I'm furious. I'm going to carry on reading and get angrier. Corporal Paul Weiss, 32, was deemed clinically dead at least twice following an explosion in 2011 which left him riddled with some 400 pieces of shrapnel and stones. I'm getting angry and angry as this story continues. Last year, he had his badly damaged left leg removed to make it easier for him to play with his 4 children. Smoke coming out of my ears now. But yesterday, the veteran spoke of his shock after reception staff refused to let him use a disabled toilet at a sports centre. So now I'm thinking, this is disgusting. This sports centre wouldn't let a hero who is disabled use a disabled toilet. He said, I was dying for the toilet. I didn't think it was a big deal. And as I was waiting for my taxi, I went into the sports centre to ask if I could use their toilet. Oh, hang on a second. Suddenly the story's turning a corner. He said the 2 men behind the reception... So he wasn't a customer at the sports centre.
So he'd nipped in.
Aha! He said the 2 men behind the reception desk at the Clifton Hill Sports Centre in his home city of Exeter, Devon, said he would not be allowed in. Corporal Weiss said, I know that I wasn't using their facilities at the sports centre, so I understand where they were coming from. But my artificial leg is loose and I'm waiting for a new leg, so I didn't just want to go on the street. Well, this is outrageous. This guy's a war hero, a disabled war hero, and he wasn't using their facilities. They still should have let him in. Hang on 1 second. Hang on. He added, I'm shocked by the whole thing, and rightfully so. You should be, sir. I didn't tell them I was disabled because they didn't need to know, and it's none of their business. Oh, there you go. There's the story out the window. So hang on a second. Some bloke walks into a sports centre. Can I use your disabled lavvy? I need a wee. No. Go on. You're not a customer. And you don't look disabled. I'm going to go to the papers about this.
Yeah. Not can I see your manager or can I tell you why?
So it's basically a bloke was not allowed to use a disabled toilet in a premises that he wasn't using for. If he had said, actually, do you know what, I am he didn't mention any of it.
It's like that woman, the pregnant woman on the train who had a bit of a problem because someone was sitting in her seat and instead of telling anyone, she told her son.
It then goes on to say Corporal Weiss was nicknamed the commando who refused to die after suffering one. And, fair play. Ultimate respect to this gentleman who has survived and seen things I wouldn't even want to imagine. Thank you very much for the work that you've done. But the headline, Afghanistan hero with one leg is barred from disabled loo. His past in this instance is kind of irrelevant. His disabilities... kind of irrelevant, but they're kind of relevant, excuse me, but still, it's just a bloke that's wandering off the street. Can I use your toilet? No.
The fact is, he didn't think it was relevant to say.
He says it's none of their business. So, it's not a story. 03459 455 555. Now, the Ministry of Justice says it'll push to bring charges against inmates who've been caught on camera drinking, smoking, using mobile phones and dancing the electric boogaloo at the Mount Prison in Bovingdon. It's being claimed the prison has faced historical problems with inmates using mobile phones. In the video, which has been posted on various newspaper websites, one inmate shows off 4 phones and some steroids. Juliet Lyon is the director of the Prison Reform Trust. They're laughing at us, aren't they, Juliet?
It really doesn't sound at all good, does it? I mean, prison is meant to be where you lose your liberty and then where you work towards release and rehabilitation. So, the only thing I can think of is that because the Ministry of Justice has taken a 30% cut, there are 30% fewer staff in prisons, that there simply aren't enough staff to maintain the kind of order you'd hope for. And that mostly, in fact, is reflected in higher levels of self-harm and very high levels of violence in our prisons. It's rarely something as jolly as the thing you've described.
I don't know if you've seen the video. I've seen the video, and I keep mentioning this. Listen, I'm a liberal lefty, and I believe that prisons should be for rehabilitation and for people helping people with learning difficulties. They shouldn't even be in there, but people with drug addiction, all of those kinds of things. But I watched this, and actually, I got really peed off because they're just basically, almost literally, sticking two fingers up at everybody and saying, "Look, we're having a great time. We've got phones, we've got drugs, and we're listening to loud music, and we're stripping off our shirts and having a break dance." They're having a dance-off in there, Juliet.
I'm not saying this is fantastic. I'm really not. What I am saying is that there are staff shortages, that there are things happening in our prisons that none of us would like to see. And I guess this is one of them. Although I'd prefer people having a good time to slashing their arms or slashing somebody else's face.
Well, I don't know about necessarily having a good time. I don't think it's either or, is it, in those instances?
No, but what you're describing is people, in effect having a party in a prison. And I'm not encouraging that, but what I am saying is that there's an awful lot of violence in prisons at the moment. For the same kind of reasons, that there aren't enough staff, there's a very long degree of lockup. And when people are let out, things are going very wrong.
Right, so we need more money invested. We need more staff. What punishment do you think prisoners who indulge in something like this should endure?
Well, when it comes to punishment, what you really need to be thinking about is making sure that people leave prison and they're not going to reoffend again.
Well,
so
when they're laughing at us and flaunting their mobile phones and their drugs and having a good time, there needs to be some sort of punishment, doesn't there?
Well, look, of course, there shouldn't be drugs. I mean, particularly drugs are terribly dangerous in prison because they act as a currency. There are a lot of psychoactive drugs now loose in prisons that are causing, in fact, some of the violent behaviour. So drugs have got to be clamped down. People have got, and if they are dealing in drugs in prisons, there should be the same penalties as there would be outside. There are very severe penalties for people who deal in drugs. So that's the first thing. On the phones thing, most people want phones in order to phone home and keep in touch with their family.
Yeah, but they're in prison.
Yes, but actually being in touch with your family cuts the risk of reoffending times 6.
So you're saying we should allow them to have mobile phones?
Well, I'd prefer to have more phones available for people, certainly.
You're joking. Well, yeah, more phones, but they can't have mobile phones, so they can go on Facebook and they can go on Twitter and they can intimidate witnesses. Really?
No, exactly. That's absolutely not what I want. What I'd like to see is the prison service deciding that contact with family, job searching and searching for somewhere safe to live is a legitimate activity, and consequently that kind of IT, that kind of phone.
But with respect, that's irrelevant to this point. That's irrelevant to this point.
At the moment, it's used as contraband. At the moment, it's another thing that's been smuggled.
Prisoners should not have mobile phones.
No, I do agree with that because it involves money, it involves threats, it involves intimidation. But what I would like to see, and Prison Reform Trust would like to see, is people quite legitimately looking for safe housing on release, looking for a job, staying in touch with their family, and all of that makes sense.
Yeah, but not on their own mobile phones.
No. On enough equipment in a prison to make sure that that's possible.
Okay. But you don't think that the prisoners that were doing this should be punished in any way?
Well, they will be. Of course they will be, because,
that's the right thing,
offended against discipline.
Yeah.
So all the disciplinary punishments that exist in a prison, they will be held, each one will be assessed for what they've done by the governor, by staff. If they've actually committed a crime, then they'll be liable for the same punishments as people outside. If they've simply broken the rules in a prison, then they'll receive the punishments that are available in that prison at the discretion of the governor. But things like this don't get just left, because a prison's a very disciplined environment, and it should be.
Well, if you've seen the video, I don't look that disciplined.
Yeah, but we're looking at one thing that happened very rarely. Most times when I'm going to prison these days, they're silent because people are locked behind the doors doing absolutely nothing. It's a dreadful waste of time. You want to see people doing something constructive and working in order to get out and lead a responsible life. There's far too little happening in prisons, but I'm not suggesting we should all break out and have a party, but I am suggesting we could do an awful lot more to train people in skills and use the time rather than waste the time.
Okay. Juliet, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Juliet Lyon, Director of the Prison Reform Trust, 03459 455 555. BBC Three Counties Radio, let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are delays in Milton Keynes on the A5 southbound lanes blocked southbound at Grafton Street because a car's broken down. It's also busy on the M1 southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick. And on the A1M, it's slow southbound between junction 9 for Letchworth and 7 for Stevenage. On the M25, it's looking very busy between junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 25 for Enfield. And also the M40 heading out of London from the Swakeleys roundabout at Uxbridge towards the M25, it's very busy. And on the train departure board, so there's no reported delays at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much indeed. 8:15, it is Tuesday, the 27th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says he'll make changes to his plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. The call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. And people living in a Watford street say they need more traffic calming measures because motorists are ignoring their 20-mile-per-hour signs.
Imagine having your own personal newsreader.
It's 10:52 and the latest headline
It's
is...
now 12:09. Police in MK looking for hit-and-run bike rider.
With our new local live service, you don't have to imagine anymore. Beds, Hearts and Bucks Live is available on your phone, laptop and tablet and keeps you up to date with the latest news, sport...
Milton Keynes Dons have announced that Keith Andrews has retired as a player to become first-team coach at Stadium MK.
Travel...
Still got this closer in at Buntingford.
Weather...
We may get some hazy sunshine by the end of the afternoon.
And everything across Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
Police in Hertfordshire say missing 83-year-old from Letchworth has been found safe and well in Ashwell.
To make sure you're up to date with everything locally, go to bbc.co.uk/Three Counties and follow the links. Beds, Hearts and Bucks Live, wherever you are and whenever you need it.
We also do radio shows. I should just mention that we also do some excellent radio shows. There's me. You've got Jonathan Vernon Smith, you've got Nick Coffer, and you've got Roberto, and then there are other shows at the weekend. So you can turn on the radio and you can listen to stuff as well. It's an old-fashioned concept, but it's kind of one that sort of works for me, because I know not everybody's got access to the internet. Tom's on the line. Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
I just want to make a comment, really, on the story about the prisoners on the mobile phones.
Yes.
I think trying to block their telephone signals, all that's really doing is just covering the fact that these prisoners are having a hell of a time in prison.
Well, they're not.
Well, they are really.
What do you mean by a hell of a time? What do you mean by a hell of a time?
It's a very relaxed environment for them.
It's not.
By the looks of it.
It's not. We're looking at one video that lasts about 3 minutes long. And while that video does get me angry, and I think the people involved should be punished, prison is not the, quotes, holiday camp. I'll say it before you do. It's not. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, I get your
Blokes
point.
kill themselves in there. Blokes kill themselves. No, it's not funny. It's not a joke. Men actually kill themselves in there or try to kill themselves because they can't bear it.
Well, I mean, that's a question of whether they're stable mentally.
No. It's not. Some of it is to do with mental illness. Some of it is just to do with the sheer fact that they can't handle being in there because they don't get let out very often, and because there is nothing there to stimulate their mind. So yeah, blokes kill themselves. Doesn't sound much fun to me.
Right, no, it doesn't really. But I mean, our whole judicial system is an absolute joke, really. You got paedophiles that are doing 2 weeks in prison, and you got someone that gets arrested for a bag of weed that goes in there for 2 years.
Can you cite those examples, please?
Well, I can't provide you.
No, because you've just plucked them out of the air. You've just plucked them out of the air, and also the judicial system. I'm struggling to say it now. That's again. I don't get the joke. Is irrelevant to what's going on in prison. They're two separate things. Whether a paedophile gets sent to prison for 2 weeks or 2 years is irrelevant to dealing with what is actually happening in prisons, where people are getting beaten up. There are way too many drugs. And there are people that are dealing with drug addiction that cannot get clean in prison, although I've got a couple of friends who did get clean in prison, because there is not enough drug rehabilitation in there, and there are blokes killing themselves. So the myth of it being a holiday camp, Tom, is completely way off.
Yeah, but then also with the whole rehabilitation thing, you have to ask yourself, the reason why they're going back to drugs is because they're being treated like criminals. They're not being treated like people that are suffering a mental health problem of
Right.
addiction.
Yes,
And
that's
I
what.
think that is a huge problem. I'm just talking about the prison system and the justice system in general.
The two things are kind of separate, but connected by a very thin thread. So let's focus on the prisons. There's not enough drug rehabilitation in prisons.
Yeah.
And there's not enough attempt to rehabilitate prisoners, so instead of going out and doing more crimes, they go out and think that they actually have a sense of purpose and a sense of well-being and that they can be a valuable member of society. That tends not to happen.
No, it doesn't. And that's also because of the way, I mean, there was a piece on this radio station, what was it, a couple of weeks ago about the employees not hiring ex-prisoners. And I think that some of them should be employed.
Okay, well, I'm glad I've managed to turn you, Tom, so quickly. That's kind of a record for me. How long did that take? That took about 3.5 minutes to turn you from thinking that they were all having a jolly old time to thinking that actually we need to do a little bit more for them. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed. 03459 455 555. Residents of a street in Watford, which has a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, say drivers are ignoring the signs and no one is enforcing it. Mike Toll, who we spoke to earlier on, says hundreds of drivers converge on Croxley View at school pick-up and drop-off times, and the signage alone is having no effect on speeders. Peter Roger is from the Institute of Advanced Motorists, who are a leading road safety charity. What do you think about these 20-mile-per-hour zones, Peter?
I'm firmly on the fence about them because the evidence would suggest that some work and some don't.
Which ones work and which ones don't?
If you look around the UK as a whole, the evidence is about whether they're effective or not is fairly mixed, which would suggest that actually what we're doing is we're putting a blanket solution out there, which doesn't necessarily cure the problems it's set out to do, and it's a bit too simplistic. So in some places it probably is going to work, and in some places it probably isn't. But 20-mile-an-hour zones outside schools are a big emotive thing. Actually, again, if you look at the country as a whole, that's not where we have an accident problem with our kids. Our kids get knocked down generally away from the school.
Right. Which is, well, okay. But having 20 miles an hour outside of school seems pretty... That's just common sense, isn't it?
One man's common sense is another man's lunacy. If you spend...
That's the craziest... I'm looking forward to this explanation.
If you spend lots of money...
How can it be lunacy to have a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit outside of school? Where's the lunacy in that?
The lunacy is that you spend money doing it, which means you don't have that money to spend where the problem actually is. So you're spending money, an increasingly rare resource. You're spending it on curing a problem that you don't have.
So you're saying that there are no accidents, there are no kiddies knocked down outside schools.
It's relatively unusual, yes.
Right. Okay. Well, let's make it even smaller, shall we? Let's make it even smaller than the relatively unusual, because I don't want my kids to be the exception that proves the rule. So let's just have outside schools 20 miles per hour. Why would anyone have a problem with that? Money to one side.
Money to one side. The problem. If you can make them time specific, then yeah, great, fine. What's the problem? I understand your point. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you might view that slightly differently because there won't be any kids there.
But that's a nonsensical argument. That's to quote you, lunacy, because there are very few roads. I don't know if there are any roads, but if there are only a few that have time specific speed limits. So let's just play it safe. 20 miles per hour outside schools. That way, it reduces the risk of a kid getting hit. And if a kid does get hit, there's less chance, that they will suffer less serious injuries.
Yeah, all that is true.
So then, how can that be lunacy?
Because the world you're creating is lunacy. We don't have a world in which we have boundless resources, and what we need to. And whilst I accept the point, you don't want your kid knocked down out
no,
there.
I don't.
I wouldn't want mine.
Right.
Equally.
So let's make schools as safe as we can. It's interesting you're focusing on the money thing as though that's more important than, I don't know, a kid's life.
No, I'm not focused on the money as though it's more important.
But you keep bringing it up.
Yes, I am. And I'm going to go back to it now and try and explain it to you. If I save your one kid's life outside the school at the cost of somewhere where there's a bigger problem, where 3 kids have...
So by saving my one kid's life, 3 kids get killed?
That's
Yeah,
it
that's
isn't
balls.
a simple.
That's
it
balls,
isn't-
mate. No, it isn't. That's balls, and that's a ridiculous thing to suggest. Why are the two? Why are the two exclusive? Why can't we just? I don't know. Put 20 miles. What a ridiculous thing to suggest! For goodness sakes. Why don't we just make schools 20 miles per hour outside schools, and then the other places we can look at those as well. It doesn't have to be either or, does it?
Unfortunately, with resources that are available,
You keep going back to the money.
Does. Yeah, I do.
You keep going back to the money.
I don't live in an ideal world where it's an unlimited resource.
Yeah, but do you know what? Kids' safety is more important.
Than what?
Why is everybody being complete and utter cheese about this? Than money.
But if you haven't got the money, you can't spend it.
So what do you suggest we do?
Well, have more money would be a great answer.
We haven't got the money! We haven't got the money! That's a fantasy world you're living in! How are we going to save these kids' lives then? We're not going to bother to change. By the way, how much would it cost to make the roads outside schools 20 miles per hour?
It's a few £1,000s per place.
Right, so how much would that be in total?
I haven't got a clue.
No, you haven't, exactly. So how do you know we haven't got the money if you haven't got a clue how much it's going to cost?
You go and talk to any council.
No, I'm talking to you. You said we haven't got the money. You don't know how much it's going to cost.
It's compared against other things. It's where you spend. We know we've got a limited resource. We know we've got a limited amount of money to do things. We know we've got a limited amount of policemen to go and stand and make sure that people behave. If you allocate that resource to doing that thing, then it's not doing something else. If you allocate the money to creating
Go on then, Pete. Tell us how we save kids. How are we going to save kids' lives then, Pete?
If I had the answer to that, I'd probably be a lot richer than you and I are.
You're obsessed with money, man. You're really obsessed with money. You need to let that go.
I'm not obsessed with money. It's just a nice, easy way of explaining the problem.
It's not. It's a little bit of a cop-out. So you're saying that's not the answer, but you don't know what the answer is. So why don't we do that until you come up with a better answer?
If you've got the money, go for it.
Oh, for goodness sakes, honey. For goodness sake. What is it with that? Ah! Flippin' heck! I need to, Oh, jeez. Do you know what? I'm yay close to jacking this nonsense in. I know what will turn me back. I know what will get me back. Hang on. Bear with me. This guy.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone fast with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1, there are delays southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick, and it's also looking quite foggy on the cameras there, so visibility could be a problem. On the M25 anti-clockwise, it's slow between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 15 for the M4, and it's also busy in Watford. Exchange Road's looking slow on speed sensors around Beach and Grove, and the A1 is busy southbound from the St Neots Junction approaching the Black Cat roundabout. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30 with the headlines and sport. I'm Gail Sanderson. The Chancellor, George Osborne, is facing pressure to explain how he'll respond to last night's decision in the Lords to block his planned cuts to tax credits. Peers voted to delay the changes until the Treasury finds a way to ease the effect on low-paid workers who could lose £1,300 a year on average. A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire, Alan Toulson, says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. His call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. The Supreme Court is to review the legal doctrine of joint enterprise in murder cases, which campaigners claim has led to 600 miscarriages of justice. 3 years ago, a committee of MPs expressed disquiet about the doctrine, saying it had resulted in young men being given mandatory life sentences for crimes in which they only had a minor role. And the weather, a fine morning with fog patches lifting, but heavy rain later this afternoon. Maximum temperature 17 Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jose Mourinho has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association over his language and behaviour in Chelsea's defeat by West Ham on Saturday. He was sent to the stands after going to speak to referee John Moss in his room at half-time. Former Premier League referee Mark Halsey says Mourinho should not have approached match officials during the game.
I don't think half-time is to go ranting and raving at a referee. I mean, obviously, it's happened to me many times. The emotions are running high, the stakes are running high, but at the same time, you know, managers have got to respect the referee space, and you can't have these sort of outbursts.
Luton Town have drawn Crawley Town in the first round proper of the FA Cup. Stevenage will play Gillingham. Wycombe Wanderers are against FC Halifax or Guiseley. Chesham United have drawn Bristol Rovers. St Albans City are to play Grimsby. Barnet have drawn Blackpool. Boreham Wood will play Northwich, Victoria or Chorley. The ties will be played next month. England captain Bedfordshire's Alistair Cook blamed a first innings batting collapse for his side's defeat by Pakistan in the second test in Dubai. The tourists came within 6.3 overs of securing a draw, but Cook pointed to England's loss of 7 wickets for 36 runs on Saturday as a key point in the game.
This is always what happens when you lose games of cricket, and when you're in a high-pressured environment, especially international cricket, you know, people do struggle for form. So, you know, it's up to, you know, the management, you know, selectors now. We've got to sit down, dust ourselves off and try and pick the right side for Sharjah.
FIFA presidential candidate Sheikh Salman has hit out at nasty lies over his time as head of the Bahrain Football Association. He's been accused by Bahraini human rights groups of complicity in the detention and torture of footballers and other athletes. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 9.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Seriously, I mean, I just... quit. Sorry, what? What did you say? Okay, think about it. But I'm yay close to quitting. What is going on? If you missed the interview, in inverted commas, at 6:20 of the 20 mile per hour speed guy, who wanted to pick up on the prison story we've been doing, saying it was full of exaggeration. And then that guy... Oh, my mum. Alan's on the line. Morning, Alan.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm stressed, man. I'm stressed. But I got a nice day. Got the kids today. We're going into London. That won't be stressful. We're going to go and see a show in London. We're going to go and see... It's at the Royal Albert Hall, but I think it's in one of the smaller rooms. It's like a puppet show about the Brothers Grimm and stuff. So we're going to go and see that. That's going to be fun. And then we're going to go...
I'm off in half term myself.
What are you doing, Alan? What have you got kids?
Well, I have. I've got 3 kids, and we were going to go into London today, but then the guy that's going to fix my plumbing, long story, but he decided to turn up halfway through the day, so I can't do that now.
Oh, you're joking.
But I'm going to go to Scotland probably for the first time ever in my life tomorrow. I'm going to drive up just for giggles. Yeah.
Oh, are you taking the kids with you?
Yeah, man.
You're going to drive to Scotland with the... That's what I don't know. What's that from here? That's about 7 hours.
Mate, I'm saying, like, I'm outside of your area.
Oh,
right? I only can listen to you on the tune in. Basically, I've known of you for a little while on The LB whatnot.
The LB whatnot. Yeah, well, may God bless you for following this nonsense around.
And like, your podcast is absolutely epic, mate. Like, so much fun, right?
Well, you know who puts the podcast... I have to say, because it's her last week here, Kelly Betts puts the podcast together. Now, when she leaves, we don't know if there's going to be a podcast.
Say what? You can't do that, man.
Yeah, I know. We just have to. We're gonna do all we can. But we do, Kelly Betts. Really?
I'll record the show. I'll put a little thing together, mate. You cannot not have a podcast, mate.
Well,
you're going to get other people doing it. Bro.
Oh, well, it's almost as it's almost as if the BBC don't care. We'll see. Well, listen. Enjoy Scotland. I love Scotland. It's everybody. But Scotland gets an image of being a bit miserable. I love Scotland. Everyone is so much friendlier when I go to Scotland. I love it.
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm hoping to enjoy all of Scottish delights. It'd be lovely.
Oh, that sounds a little bit creepy. Whereabouts in Scotland are you going? It's a whole country.
Well, I want to plant myself somewhere in between Edinburgh and Glasgow, and then do a little, 20 minutes here, half an hour there. Do you know what I mean?
They are both brilliant cities, and you will love it. The thing about Edinburgh, right, is you're always walking uphill. At no point do you ever find yourself walking downhill. It's the weirdest thing, and it's exhausting.
Even when you get back down to your hotel.
Even when you get back to the hotel, you leave the hotel and you walk uphill, and you go up these really steep steps, and then you walk uphill, and then you go to Princes Street, and that's uphill, and then you get back to the hotel, and you think, I've not walked downhill once. How the hell have I done? It's like that optical illusion with you've got the stairs, but they're always going up. It's that. That's what that picture was based on Edinburgh.
Who's that guy called? He was Eve, isn't it?
Who? Well, who did the picture?
Yeah.
Let's ask an intellectual. Catherine?
Dunno.
Okay, there we go. That's your homework.
Mr. Dunno. I know.
We'll leave it at that. Have you got anything for us, Alan? Have you just phoned up for a chat?
Mate, you know what? When I heard the other guy, I was going to say something about him. But anyway, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to read this. I've just written in like 2 minutes, so it's probably rubbish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's definitely all in the past tense. I thought that's the rule.
Okay, this is for Kelly Betts leaving, yeah?
Indeed it is. It is. It has to be about Kelly, yeah.
Okay.
So you don't need to do any beat to it, do you know what I mean? I just go straight in.
You don't want any beat? Because I can do it.
Mate, you can drop any beat, mate. Put some Biggie on the background. I'm joking. Whatever you like.
Okay, I literally no idea what that means. So I'm going to turn my microphone off, and it's over to you, Alan.
Haven't listened that long, so Kelly Betts is gone. Was such a fine presenter, Miss Sorley, by some. Was on the radio, not the telly. Last name Betts, first name Kelly. She had 2 eyes, ears and a nose. A mouth, had a voice. We'll miss her prose. Was that then past tense long ago, back whence, lest we forget, memory or Kelly Betts? Her voice faded away, leaving empty chair and mic and essence and the strand of hair. Scientists in the 3 counties home picked up the DNA, started to clone another player just for fun. So Iain Lee won't be alone. That's it, Bob.
Mate, flippantly, you can hear the applause through the glass. I mean... how long did it take you to write that?
About 2.5 minutes, bro.
That is spot on, absolutely spot on, perfect. It was very powerful. I'm moved by it. I know, genuinely, I thought that was brilliant. Just whack him straight through. Hang on a second, Alan.
By the way, the stairs picture, Esher.
Esher. There you go.
Esher, that's the
it.
guy.
You were closer than I was. I wouldn't have a clue.
You begin with E.
One second. Gatford.
Yes.
This fella, Alan, right?
Yes.
How long did it take you to write that, Al?
Couple minutes, but about 3 minutes.
3 minutes, right? Spot on. There were stanzas in there. Past tense. It mentioned her name. It was funny. It was moving. You've been doing yours for about 3 weeks, and you've still not got it right.
What does Alan want, a medal?
Don't have beef with Alan.
You're bringing Alan up to like some sort of poem deity and casting me down like a poem devil.
Oh my goodness. Heaven and hell.
I mean, congratulations, Alan. But
I never been called a poetry deity, a poet deity, a poet god.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, I'm not going to go that far. Deity's fair enough.
He's humiliated you, Gatford. Without even intending to. He has pulled down your pants and he has spanked your bum live on radio.
It's not the first time it's happened.
Kiri's called in. Morning, Kiri.
That was amazing. I give up not doing one. Well done. That was brilliant.
And just to clarify, you're speaking to Alan, not to Gatford, aren't you?
No, I'm speaking talking to Alan. Gatford and I just want to do. Let's do one together, Gatford.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, come on, what is this?
Yeah, Kiri, your line. I'll let you go, Kiri, because your line's not great, but we got the point. You think Alan's a king, and that Gatford is worse than the scum on the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah. Anyway, Iain, thank you very much for the show. Thank you for the entertainment.
Thank you.
Thank you for that as well.
Thank
Seriously,
you for
you've made my mornings, mate. You really have.
Alan. Thank you for the education, Gatford. Thank Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay, get down on one knee and thank him.
Give me a minute. Thanks, Alan.
Oh, cheers,
Alan, you're a great bloke. I hope Scotland embraces you as it has embraced me in the past, and I'm sure you're an excellent dad, great human being, brilliant waiting in for the plumber. That is an all-round good guy. You could only dream of being something as half as decent as Alan Gatford.
I'm going to make it my mission.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. Of course, someone has texted in a joke that I only worked out recently. How do I get to the Royal Albert Hall? Practice, son, practice. That's how we do it. That's how that works. You like that one?
Yeah.
You like that? It's good, that, isn't it?
I did, yeah.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Anything that we can add to the show? Let's be honest, it's been one of the weirdest shows. It's been the show that has genuinely made me seriously consider Hing the N, handing in my notice.
The thing is, right, it was the most beige story. If we're going to pick one that was going to cause H and N action, it wouldn't be that one, would it?
Yeah, well.
20 miles per hour.
Well, we ain't got the money.
I have a question about handing in your notice.
Kelly Betts! You should know how
Do
you do
you
it.
just, write notice on a bit of paper?
No, you're right. I'm formally handing in my notice. I'll give you however long it says in the contract.
What, you write, I'm handing in my notice on the notice?
No, it's a letter. It's called a letter.
So, dear...
But notice is that it's a letter. You don't put it up on the notice board.
Have you not done it?
I'm doing it now.
Well,
Mate,
no,
you've got to do like a month or something in
can't
advance.
just leave on a Friday.
You have totally not thought this through. You have, I'm going to say it, you've ballsed this up.
Have you got a jingle for that?
Somewhere, but it would take me way too long to... Oh, hang on a minute. What's the Mamas and the Papas? How did they get there? No, unfortunately, I don't have... oh, yes, I do.
On beds, hards and bugs, Kelly Betts muffs it up again.
There we go, you see. Kelly Betts muffs. I've got loads of those.
Go on, show us what else you've got.
No, I'm going to save them. I've got this.
I don't like food very much, you see.
Okay, Tony. That's a weird thing to say, isn't it?
He is.
I'm going to use them when the appropriate time comes. Use them when the appropriate time comes.
Simon would eat Dido.
Do you remember Dido?
Yeah. I would eat Dido. Can't bear her boring music, but I always imagine her personal hygiene to be exceptional. Simon and Stevenage. That's how he chooses his meals.
I bet she's clean. So it is a quiet news story. So whenever it's a quiet news day, we always turn to page 8 of the Daily Mirror to see what list they've pulled off the internet, and it's a good one. What am I bid for this cornflake and other mad lots? You mad lot. Thanks very much indeed. Jeez. It may look just like a dry cracker. With a price tag of £15,000, it's certainly not a snack for the credit crunch. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And don't expect it to be fresh either. The Spillers and Bakers Pilot Cracker, it's a cream cracker, below is actually more than 100 years old. Oh, do you know where it's from? How is this possible?
Down the back of my sofa.
From the Titanic.
Oh.
How have they got... This is... Come on,
How's
guys.
it not wet?
It would be wet. How can you have a
What
dry...
if it was in a survivor's pocket?
Still be wet. Survivors were wet, weren't they?
But up
and
high.
cold. I've seen the documentary.
Oh, here we go. It goes into detail. The savoury biscuit had been stored in one of the survival kits on a lifeboat and kept as a souvenir by James Fenwick, a passenger on the SS Carpathia which rescued survivors. This week it made history when it went under the... I've edited that slightly. It says, and this week it made history again when it went under the hammer. Oh, don't hammer it. It's £15,000.
Good one.
A little auctioneer's joke there. In Wiltshire and was sold to a Greek buyer.
Greece, because they've got loads of money.
Yes, becoming the... This is why they've got no money. I bet they did it in cash as well.
Spent it all on Jacobs.
Becoming the world's most expensive biscuit. Earlier this year, former Iraqi politician be careful, Mowaffaq al-Rubai. Oh no!
What's he done? What's Moa
He
done?
received. Guess what? He received offers of up to £5 million. Guess what for? And it's horrible.
Something horrible. A bit of Saddam.
The noose.
Wow.
Ooh.
Other things that have gone for sale. Lennon's loo. John Lennon's loo. When it comes to the Beatles, it seems fans are willing to pay over the odds, even if it's just for an old toilet. While a lot of people thought that Lennon's 70s output was complete and utter whoa, guys, this is certainly where he delivered some of his biggest hits. I made that last bit up myself.
Oh, you
I made that
funny.
last bit up myself. That is funny. The porcelain throne was used when he lived at Tittenhurst Park in Berkshire between 19... Don't laugh
Kelly,
at,
that
don't
really-
laugh at Tittenhurst. Between 1969 and 1972. After getting a new toilet, he gave it to builder John Hancock. Kelly? It's just everything is... to use as a plant pot, but he kept it. In 2010, it was sold for £9,500 at auction in Liverpool to a Greek buyer. These Greeks...
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the A1M, there are queues southbound between junction 9 for Letchworth and 7 for Stevenage. There's reports it's busier than usual. On the M1, it's slow southbound from junction 12 for Flitwick to 11 for Dunstable through the roadworks. And also on the A5 southbound in Dunstable, it's very busy between the A505 and Dunstable Road. In St Albans, there are queues on the North Orbital Road between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout nearby the roadworks there, causing some delays. And on the M25, it's very busy anti-clockwise from junction 17 for Maple Cross to 15 for the M4. Looking at the train departure boards, the 9:14 train from Luton to Sutton is delayed by 10 minutes. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, we are entering an historic period of the show. It's the last 15 minutes of me, Catherine, Justin and What's-Her-Face. Because Catherine's not here tomorrow. What's-Her-Face leaves on Friday and Dealey's not in Friday. What a fractured week this is. 8:46, these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Chancellor George Osborne says he'll make changes to his plans to reduce tax credits after suffering a defeat in the House of Lords last night. A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. The call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. And people living in a Watford street say they need more traffic calming measures because motorists are ignoring their 20 miles per hour signs. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cloud around this morning, but once that clears we should have a decent spell of sunshine for a time. It then clouds over again ahead of some rain that's going to be pushing through later on in the day. Temperatures reaching about 17 degrees Celsius, so very mild. So that rain continues through the night with lows of 11 degrees. A wet start to tomorrow, clearing through the day and leaving us with sunny spells in the afternoon with highs of 14 degrees Celsius. Thursday starts off dry, but we'll have some rain later on. It's going to be fairly short-lived as it's a pretty narrow band and quite fast moving. And on Friday there's a further pulse of rain which will happen earlier on in the day, but it does look like it's settling down over the weekend. That's your latest forecast.
Well, a very, very silly game has started on Twitter. I believe Adrian has started it. Let me just have a little look at these. We're talking about John Lennon's toilet being sold to a Greek gentleman for £9,500. Adrian has tweeted, "Loo seat in the sky with diamonds." Scott has tweeted, "I want to hold your pan." He's also tweeted, "Let it wee." I've tweeted,
Terry is getting ready to ramble.
I am.
I've sponsored him to go on a walk for BBC Children in Need, and I think he's ready. Appropriate footwear,
The Cuban heels are staying at home.
extra layers in case it gets cold.
The old faithful driving gloves.
And what's in the rucksack?
A kilo of Kendall mint cake. You can never be too careful.
Anyone can put on a sponsored walk and make some money for BBC Children in Need.
So put on a ramble. Get your free fundraising pack from bbc.co.uk/Pudsey.
Twitter's got very silly all of a sudden. Scott's on a roll here, a toilet roll.
It's the way his mind works, isn't
Love
it?
me, Lou. Spend a penny lane.
That's great.
Let it wee. Peas, me, says Lido. Oh, twist it out. No, come on now. Oh, it's you, Catherine.
8 days a week.
My one I can't broadcast.
No, silly that wasn't
I've done two.
Have you?
Sergeant Pepper one is my favourite. Have you seen that one?
No. I can imagine what it is. Oh, no, I didn't see that one coming.
It's the word lovely that does it for me.
Why didn't you say pooper? Missed a trick there, mate.
Dills, have you got audio?
Anyway, this has descended nicely, hasn't it?
This is. Do you know what? On the last show, when it's all four of us together, and it's great. By the way, it's great to have Emma and Dashi back as well. Great to see you guys. We haven't got enough mics for you, but thank you. It's nice to be here. On the last day, when it's all four of us together, I think it's only fair that we descend into lavatorial humour. You all right, Just?
Hey, good morning, player.
You all right, fella?
Yeah, yourself?
Twitter's got... I can't read most of these. Twitter's got very, very naughty. The internet really is a very naughty place, Just.
It is a very naughty place indeed, but you know what? It's a great place as well.
It really is. It really is a great place.
Yeah.
Other things that have sold for fortunes, okay? Coronation Street has a loyal following. You love it, don't you?
Oh, love Coronation
You're still
Street.
digging the
Love it to bits.
Corrie? I've not seen it for years. Just in you've got 30 seconds. Can you sum up what's happening in Corrie now?
In Coronation Street at the moment, I was watching it last night. What's going on? There's a very
You
serious
don't remember,
story.
do you?
No. There's actually a really serious story about Fizz and Tyrone at the moment, where their child's not very well. You've got that. You've got you know Shane Warne that was in the X Factor a few years ago.
Do. Yes.
He's now turned up. He's now the factory boss, and Gail is looking as tasty as ever.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's what may well become a weekly feature. Coronation Street in 30 seconds from Justin Dealey.
Oh.
Back in the USSR. I can't finish that
Did
one.
you see Dear Prudence from Scott?
Dear Prudence, okay. Dealey, other thing. This is what's sold, okay? Coronation Street has a loyal following, but perhaps taking things too far. The ashes of the soap's cat Frisky were sold at auction in 2010. 840 quid a Greek man paid for Frisky.
How much?
£844. The tabby appeared in more than 1,000 episodes, crouching on a roof in the opening credits, but died in 2000, aged 14 from stomach cancer. Owner, here's one for you, Kelly. Owner John Rimington.
I mean, really.
Put the ashes along with the cremation certificate and pictures of the cat with various Corrie stars.
We didn't see that on the tour.
Up for auction, they sold for nearly 6 times the expected price.
You know who's a big Coronation Street fan, don't you?
Go on.
He's in the building this morning.
Blackburn.
Tony Blackburn.
Oh.
He said once, hi, Tony, how are you? I said, yeah, I'm looking forward to this afternoon. I'm going to go back home and watch 14 Coronation Streets in a row. He was being serious as well. And his ringtone is Corrie, I think.
Well, just as long as Shaka Khan is nowhere near him, in case he fancies a snack, then everybody...
Food.
It's the weirdest thing, isn't it? What else have we got? Here we go. Cornflake. In what is probably the world's most expensive breakfast, a US company shelled out £878 for a single cornflake. This better have a picture of Jesus on there. All the best breakfasts have got pictures of Christ on there. Sisters Emily and Melissa McIntyre put the cornflake, which resembles the state of Illinois.
Someone sat there for ages working that out.
Guys, can we... Listen, Justin, America is full of plums. All we need is something... It's a cornflake that looks like Illinois. They made nearly 900 quid for that. We must be able to come up with something that we can sell to those fools.
Yeah, I reckon so. I do love the Americans, though. They are just very, very strange people.
What was the bridge? We sold an enterprising young entrepreneur.
London Bridge, but it wasn't.
It was another bridge, and they thought they were buying London Bridge.
They thought they were buying Tower Bridge, and we sold them London Bridge.
And they took it over there, and they had to dismantle it. They bought the wrong bridge. It resembles the state of Illinois. The winning bid added it to a travelling museum. Okay. What else have we got? Lennon's Lou. I'm tempted. Well, okay. Here we go. In 2010, Winston Churchill's... Here we go, Dealey. You're playing Winston Churchill's gold-plated teeth poker.
Yep.
How much in 2010 did Winston Churchill's gold-plated teeth get snapped up for? How much does his teeth go for?
I'm gonna go with quite a lot on this one. I'm gonna go for £10,000.
Okay, saying £10,000. I'll give you a clue. A Greek man bought it. Catherine, Winston Churchill's teeth. How much did a Greek man pay? Cash in hand. I don't want no receipt. No, I don't know receipt. I'll give you the cash in hand. You do the cash.
£5 million. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's ridiculous. Kelly Betts, it'd be great if you got something right on your penultimate day here at BBC Three Counties Radio.
Help me get it right.
I'm not going to help you.
Not even like a number, just hold up a number.
No, okay. I'll do the fingers, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
£2 million.
No, okay. I was going to...
She stopped counting at 3.
It would have taken a while. I was flashing up the 10 fingers, and I don't know how long it would have taken us to get up to £15,200, but I was prepared to go... £15,200, Justin, for...
piece of history.
I've just refreshed
I wish someone
Twitter.
would refresh Twitter after that.
Just refreshed Twitter. Dealey, I feel I've underused you today. My apologies. It's been a really weird vibe. Do you know what? Today has been the day I've come closest. I've written the email to the boss and deleted it 7 times during the show today.
But what's your problem?
Man alive. I'm not cut out for this. Anyway, listen, tomorrow we'll come up with something. Tomorrow we're going to celebrate the fact that Catherine's not here and we're going to do the show we've always dreamed of doing. How's about that?
Well, the thing is, what is it? Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, Kelly's producing. It's our last 3 days at Three Counties, mate. Seriously, I mean, anything could happen.
I think it might be your last 3 days, mate.
Let's see if we can get... As an idea, let's see if we can get Kelly the sack before she leaves.
What, do you know what? You've just taken the words out of my mouth.
Yeah? Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do
But
it.
hang on, wait.
Hang on, wait, guys.
Will this affect my new job?
Yes.
Serving food
it
at Covent. Well,
Of course
let's
it will.
not then.
No.
I don't want to get sacked for my future.
Sacked from your future.
No, even you can't do tenses. What the hell is wrong with everybody? Why can no one do tenses? Dealey, we'll speak to you tomorrow, boss.
Thank you, boss. Take care.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. What is the problem with everyone in their tenses today? I just don't know. It's getting tense.
When?
Getting very tense. Right. There's nothing else that's worthy of repeating in this news story. Have you got any texters?
Yes.
Go on.
But they're filthy because you started it on Twitter and
Oh,
then
no, don't read
continued
those.
it there.
We can't read... well, OK.
All right.
Carefully.
The illusionary man is Escher, we know.
Yep.
How expensive can a sign be, says Kevin. 20 miles per hour. Dan from Watford talking about chip butties earlier on. He meant about the assault and battery
Do you know
he was
what?
trying to play.
I really fancy
a chip butty.
I really fancy a chip butty. Yes, I do.
All right.
Very quickly...
we never found out anything about Mantax, did we? The only thing someone suggested is, Viagra or urinal cakes.
Well, I had to stop my boys playing with those things the other day in the toilet. We haven't got time to talk about the Bay City Rollers getting back together again. I know we've mentioned it before. It's a story that I'm monitoring from a distance. They're playing what used to be called, and will always be called in my heart, the Hammersmith Apollo. I refuse to use... No, the Hammersmith Odeon, excuse me, dear listener. I've aged myself. The Hammersmith Odeon. I refuse to use any other name, apart from, of course, obviously, the Hammersmith Apollo from time to time. But the Bay City Rollers are getting back together. Now, some bands... age, better than others. I always thought the Monkees aged quite well. McCartney's aged quite well. But the Bay City Rollers, flipping it, it's just like a load of your dad's mates coming round and, you were going to start a band. That's a Scottish accent.
Oh, apparently.
Bay City Olders.
Huh?
Nice.
Sorry?
Grey City.
No, hang on a second. No,
Olders.
Kelly, what?
Bay City Olders.
I don't... Go on.
They're old. You're lucky I didn't do a play on the word city.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1M southbound's very slow from junction 9 for Letchworth to 7 for Stevenage, and the M1 is also busy southbound between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable. That's where the roadworks are. It's also looking very foggy, so visibility could be a problem. Ceasing off though on the approach to the M1 junction 9 from the A5 at Markgate, and on the A5 in Milton Keynes it's all reopened again between Grafton Street and Grove Way, where there was a car broken down earlier. On the M25 anti-clockwise it's very busy from junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40, and it's it's also slow in North Watford on the North Western Avenue around the Dome roundabout. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much indeed. That's it. That's your lot. 2 things you should be looking out for. Go to iTunes, type in Iain Lee. You get the Best of Weekly podcast that one of our callers was kind enough to mention. Also, if you go to the BBC iPlayer, type in Iain Lee and Catherine Boyle, then our Saturday show comes up. It's a phone-in show with no topics whatsoever. Back tomorrow at 6. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. It's Tuesday. It's 9 o'clock, and on today's Big Phone In, do you think 20 is plenty or just too slow? Residents in Watford say their local 20-mile-per-hour speed limit is a sham. The group argues that hundreds of people a day drive through their residential area and no one is ever stopped for doing more than 20 miles per hour. Croxley View campaigner Mike Toll has called his road a commuter rat run, where pensioners and schoolchildren are forced to dodge speeding cars every day. The question is, are drivers ignoring the signs because they just don't care, or because 20 miles per hour is unreasonably slow for the road conditions? This morning I want your reaction to this local story. Do you think 20 is plenty or just too slow? Pick up the phone, give me a call now on 03459 455 555.
This is the JVS show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll take your call in just a second, but first let's get the latest BBC News at 9 o'clock with Gail Sanderson.
The headlines: the Chancellor says he'll make changes after a defeat over tax credit cuts, calls for a block on mobile phone signals at a Hertfordshire prison, and residents want more traffic calming measures in a Watford street.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The Chancellor, George Osborne, is looking at how he can ease the impact of his proposed reductions in tax credits after a major defeat in the House of Lords. Peers voted for the cuts to be delayed until the Treasury can provide transitional help for those worst affected. The Conservative MP, David Davis, said peers were right to vote them down.
This was an incredibly important, possibly harmful thing to 3 million people, thereabouts. Hard-working families that people were supposed to support, and somebody had to tell the government to think again.
A member of the monitoring board at the Mount Prison in Hertfordshire says officials should consider blocking inmates' mobile phone signals. The call comes after a video of inmates partying and drinking was posted online. Alan Toulson says blocking phone signals may be one way of dealing with the problem.
I'm told it is possible now. There's a technology to block it very specifically, so you could actually block it so that prisoners' mobile phones just would be no use. And actually that would be a terrific step forward.
2 teenagers who were shot in an incident in South Buckinghamshire on Sunday afternoon remain in hospital. The 15-year-old and 17-year-old are being treated in hospital for serious leg injuries. Police have placed a watch in the park in Burnham, but don't believe it was a random attack. People living in a Watford street say they need more traffic calming measures because motorists are ignoring their 20-mile-an-hour signs. County Councillor Nigel Bell, who represents the area, says he would like the police to enforce the speed limit down Croxley View.
If there's been a lot of incidents of speeding in that area, especially when it's right near a school, well, 2 schools and a children's centre, then I think we need to get the police down there to do at least mobile speed limits and maybe have a blitz on that area.
And there'll be more on that story on the JVS show next. The Supreme